everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, getting better. My name is Ben Hansen, and I'm personally thanking you for joining us today on this grand adventure through the twists and turns of the video game industry, because I am joined by one Leo Vader.
Hello.
It's a wild ride.
I'm laughing already.
Joined by Jeff Markiafava.
That's me.
The father has returned, the Markia father. Welcome back to the MinnMax Show, sir.
Thank you. I don't remember how to do any of this, so
yeah,
be kind.
Does it feel weird to be out of the loop for a couple months on paternity leave? Does it feel like you're going to be left behind because we're moving so fast? It's a completely different show now than it was 2 months ago.
I had all your lovely Slack messages popping up all the time anyway, so I felt I was there in spirit. Was it? Which is what really matters. I'm
not projecting emotionally, I swear. But was it comforting to you to have those Slack messages to check and just be like, oh, the world is going on without me. I can still look through this window to see what my friends and colleagues are doing?
Sure, we'll say that. Yeah.
Okay, great. And did you also get a polite message from Leo saying, dude, with all due respect, back off and get offline during your paternity leave?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's nice.
Jeff and I was messaging.
It wasn't just you, Hanson.
What do I say? I'm on stream, Jeff, and I can't think of anything funny. What do I say?
Right. That's smart.
Get back to me right away.
I sent him all my best goo goo gaga jokes.
Yeah.
Yep, they hit, by the way. Thank you for that.
Yeah, the game industry's Bruce Valanche over here. We're also joined by one Kyle Hilliard.
Hello. I've been gone for a little while, too.
Yeah, have you?
I think so. I feel like I haven't been on in a while.
I listen all the time on the Game Informer show. So if you're not on this podcast, I still have you almost every week.
Still get my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll just call you up and we'll chat. Also, we're joined by Michael Huber.
Yo, Kyle, I didn't say hello, dude. Hello.
Oh, hello. Yeah. Hi.
I don't know if you guys want to keep this up and go the entire podcast without Huber and Jeffem talking to each other, since Huber was filling in for Fava on paternity leave. Do you want to just pretend you don't exist? Yeah, exactly.
I'll just freeze every time he starts talking and
pass the conch back and forth. Welcome, Huber. Your final regular episode of the MinnMax Show. It's been great to have you during Jeffem's paternity leave. You've been awesome. Thanks for all the kind comments from the community. It's fun to see everybody jumping in. They'd be like, Huber rules. He's a fresh blast of positivity right into my eyeballs and ear holes. But even though this is, the end of the ride for the paternity leave, obviously Trivia Tower is still going on. You're obviously welcome back whenever you want to jump in. If you're feeling red hot, passionate about a game, we're not going to say, get the hell out of here, Huber. It's an open door. It's a screen door, and there's like a big tear through it, like a Velociraptor had at it. So you can walk through that whenever you want, man.
Awesome.
On this very episode of the podcast, we have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to be talking about our predictions for Summer Game Fest 2024, the big Keighley show, and odds and ends around that. But then we have a ton of games to talk about as well. Kyle, I want to talk to you about the holiest of holies, of course, the one and only Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door. We're going to be talking about XDefiant, which I'm very curious to hear some takes on. That's the new Ubisoft free-to-play shooter. Multiversus. I want to say the relaunched Warner Brothers free-to-play platform fighter. Jeffem, we're going to talk about what you've been playing over your paternity leave and then some. And we might even go back in time and talk a little old arcade stuff if you all want to get a little bit geeky. And then back half of this very show, we are taking your questions from the community. Everything submitted over there on Patreon, everything that makes the show better. We have way too many questions, but all they do is make the show better. So keep volleying at them. I dare you. Just volley them at us. I dare you to make the show better, please, over there on Patreon each and every week. And if you're listening to this and you're saying, I am so annoyed that these five goobers aren't talking about Sony's State of Play, I'm also annoyed. I'm more annoyed just by the scheduling. So it didn't quite work out. So we have not watched that yet. That is going to be live on Thursday, Sony State of Play, where they're going to be announcing some stuff coming up in the back half of the year here for PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2 and all that fun stuff. So if you really want to hear our takes on it immediately, you can check out MinnMax's YouTube channel, because we'll have a reaction stream up there so you can watch us go blah, goo goo gaga once we see those big reveals and stuff. Yeah. Or you can wait until well the next episode of the podcast airing next week, where we'll be unpacking everything from Sony State of Play and more in there.
You can hear us say "goo goo gaga" as well on this.
It'll be really informed. Takes. Oh, it'll be so thought out and thorough. And then Keely's show, just so you're all in the loop on all this stuff, the Big Summer Game Fest kickoff showcase thing, that's happening Friday at I think 4 p.m. Central. So we'll also have a reaction stream for that. We'll need to lock down those details, but there will be a reaction stream for that. And then we'll be covering everything from that on the following week's episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. So the schedule gets a little wonky when we're recording on Wednesdays, releasing Thursdays, but bear with us. And just for, running down what's going to be going on here for Summer Game Fest is Janet Garcia frickin' lives out there, so she'll be out and about, but I'm going to be flying out and joining her. It'll be my first time going to Summer Game Fest. I'm very excited to kind of rekindle some E3 love out there. And then we're also going to be joined by Charles Hart, who you might know as the Master DM from the Dungeons & Dragons one-shot, and he's been helping out with some video editing at MinnMax, but he's an associate editor at Game Informer as well, working with Kyle over there. And so we're going to be flying him out, and it's going to be his first game industry event. And so it's going to be fun to kind of document that entire journey with him, because we're also making a travelogue like we have for last year we made the travelogue for Summer Game Fest, which was a beast but super fun. And so we're going to be making a travelogue and sharing that entire journey with you. So, because you support us on Patreon, we think it's only fair that we let you see what these events are like behind the scenes. So we'll be bringing you around for the sights and sounds of Summer Game Fest. So expect that travelogue in the near future. Hubert, what does your Summer Game Fest look like?
Pretty slammed, actually. Daniel Bloodworth is like the scheduling master for game trailers, EZA. Just for the last 10 years, Daniel Bloodworth gets everybody's, schedule with all the PR and just basically wall to wall, checking out this game, checking out this game, checking out this game.
Yeah.
Most of those, 95% of those are unannounced blank game. So
it's a lot of them.
I don't have any secrets or info or anything yet.
Yeah. So we're going to be sharing our predictions for Summer Game Fest on this episode, but it's not going to be a situation of we know this is secretly going to be here. So I'm predicting this will be here, but I'm trying to get, I don't know, Kyle and Huber, I'm sure this is extremely uncomfortable for you, but let me throw you into the fire of not revealing anything for Summer Game Fest, but there are some things in those emails of hey, do you want an appointment to check this game out? I'm trying to gauge your excitement for the show. I'm not, we're an independent outlet. We don't have the Game Informer levels of, Sony coming and whispering to us exactly what's going to be there and stuff. But there's been, I think, 1.5 moments of oh, that'll be there. Oh, okay. That's my tone so far. I don't know if you guys have a different hype level based on the whisperings.
So are you guys Jerry Seinfeld level,
right?
Kramer,
Jerry's
bursting through the door. Are you exacerbated by everything, George style? I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's announced that we'll get to see. I'm not pretending or anything. I really don't know any of the big secret things. I know maybe publisher will have something there, but I don't know the titles or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry to tease everybody. I'll talk about it in the future, but I did have one email that came through and I was they're doing it based on this description of the publisher and type of game. This is it. This is a dream project. They're doing it. And then I started putting more puzzle pieces together and I was oh, okay. It's still exciting, but it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. But we'll talk about it in the future for sure. Stupid tease like that. But Hubert, where's your hype level at for this thing?
Higher than medium, lower than really hyped.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And Hubert, hype is your Christian middle name at this point. So when you're not hovering above your seat, I get worried about the state of the industry.
I'm a little worried this Summer Game Fest will be a transitional one, kind of a down year as opposed to maybe next year or last year.
Right.
And it just kind of feels like that. I don't know.
We might be getting into new consoles in a year or two, right? So we're kind of on the downward slope of the current
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that weird spot of Sony being they message out there, no huge AAA releases back half of this year. I'm sure we look like idiots after the State of Play. But then also Nintendo knowing they delayed the Switch 2. And so I feel when 2 of the 3 are
do we know that?
What?
Do we know it? Do we know they delayed the Switch 2? Is that a thing we know?
Yeah, I think so.
Why? How? I mean, was that from that the finance reporting?
Well,
I know because I said it was coming. I said it was coming 5 years ago, and it still hasn't come out.
Yeah, he won't stop talking about it.
We never knew when that thing was going to come. Why are we calling it delayed?
I mean, they officially didn't announce it, but all the leaks were saying, hey, we're revving up. Like, it seemed like third-party leaks, and everyone's saying, like, we're getting this thing. It's looking like this window.
You couldn't see all the leaks. Like, we just don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
no,
so I'm like
fair.
getting into semantics, but I just, yeah.
It seems like it's going to be kind of a dry, heavy coast year for Nintendo in the back half of the year. You know, we'll probably maybe get like some Zelda HD ports type of thing.
Twilight Princess, look it up.
That'd be great, but who knows? So I feel you. But predictions for Summer Game Fest. I think we should just start lobbing these suckers out. Let's see where we're all out.
My first is that
Jesus
Nintendo
Christ.
will announce 10 new Zelda and Mario games.
Correct.
Correct. Wait, so this prediction goes for the next decade? Is that like it's like a permanent prediction?
No, they're all coming out this year. 10 new of each.
Smart. I think that's really smart. And I'm checking Backstage Pass. Yeah, they said you're exactly right. You've truly done it. Way to go.
Did it.
Low odds, but the payout's huge.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hubert, you got a prediction for us? You want to lob one in there?
Yeah, it's time. It is time. It is been time.
Excuse
for
me?
many a year. Silk Song will release. It will shadow drop. It will be announced, and it will be like, go play this right now.
Leave your overwhelmingly positive review on Steam as I'm saying these words. All right, who gets it? Who gets the cookie? Is it Keeley? Is it going to be Xbox?
Keeley.
What do you think?
Oh, that's a Keeley joint for sure. Keeley is going to look at the camera and he's going to be like, I finally got one you all have been waiting for, with a little wink.
He's going to tear up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
You'll finally love me. Yeah, I'd love to see a montage of just those announcements from Keeley where he's like getting a little emotional and giddy, and you can feel him like he has his hand in his pocket, so eager to check his Twitter mentions, like as the announcement is coming out of his mouth. Yeah. Okay.
Someone's holding up his phone with his Twitter feed next to the teleprompter.
Did that game come up on the Keeley Core New Show Plus?
Yep.
Games?
Oh yeah, that's an S tier. You know, Keeley wants that more than anything. I mean, we're talking about it. Yeah, for New Show Plus this week, Janet and I were kind of unpacking Keeley's essence and what he in his heart of hearts is most excited about. And it's like, if you polled average people on the street, Kyle, 100 average people on the street, more hype for Silk Song than Half-Life 3 at this point. Like it has become just top tier, weird, legendary game.
Because now that conversation is, wait, was there a Half-Life 3? Yeah, it's like it was Alex, right? It was VR. It's like, well, no, that wasn't 3.
Yeah,
it was like not quite. It sort of was.
Let me explain.
Before Half-Life 2. So
yeah, the sun's really coming down on the sidewalk. But if I could just take another couple minutes of your time for the survey. Let's see. Here's our prediction for you. You know, I don't know. Like you could just lob studios that have mystery projects all day, but I feel like we're due for the big reveal of the game from a studio called That's No Moon. If you remember this studio, I could see that being at Keeley's show, but this is Jacob Minkoff, who is the game director for the Modern Warfare reboot, also worked on Infinite Warfare, and Taylor Kurosaki, who also worked on those Call of Duty games. But then before that, he worked at Naughty Dog, going back to like Jak 3. He worked on all the Uncharted games. And so they left Infinity Ward years and years ago, like 3 years ago now, to start a studio called That's No Moon. And my prediction is that'll be at Keeley's show, the cinematic reveal trailer, and it'll be the biggest narrative swing of any games shown at Keeley's thing. This is going to be like, look at those faces, look at the acting, look at everything here. That'll be my weird prediction here. Okay.
I think we'll see something Castlevania. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think it's a proper Castlevania entry. You know, maybe it'll be kind of like Lost Crown caliber,
right?
You know, not quite like pull out all the stops AAA Castlevania, but like sort of a we're dipping our toe. And when I say we're dipping our toe,
Metroid Dread of Castlevania.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. So I think it's time. You know, they've gotten their word out on Metal Gear and. It's Silent Hill, right? Yeah. There's going to be some Silent Hill stuff this week as well, and then Castlevania's up next, I think. Even though we haven't really gotten releases for any of those franchises yet, it's a little Silent Hill, but not much.
Anything Keeley can get over his Konami grudge?
Oh, I didn't really factor that a lot, but I think so. I think it would be like if you were to ask Keeley privately, he's like, "Oh, I'm surprised you had Castlevania there, even with the Konami stuff." He'd be like, "There's all different people at Konami now. It's a whole different group of people." That's always like the answer.
Time's passed. It's all good now. Excitement's excitement.
Speaking of times past, I think we should all make predictions on how much industry layoffs and studio closures are going to be addressed.
Is that a joke?
Oh, they probably won't.
No.
Sadly.
You don't think there's one sentence that's like...
I think he says one or two sentences.
It's been a tough year, but we keep these people in our memory by continuing as normal?
No, I don't think so.
Not even a sentence? Okay, I'll keep it at one.
One or two.
One or two. I mean, it will be underserved, absolutely. And we will all be frustrated by the lack of attention paid to it, I think. Is where we'll be at.
I mean, if you didn't do it last year during the Game Awards, this feels like a more condensed version of the Game Awards stuff and even less developer focused and more just pure hype focused. So I don't think it'd be done here. But Ricky,
don't you believe people can change?
I don't actually. Ricky Winterborn
it's all new people, man. It's all new people.
Keeley ain't. So Ricky Winterborn writes in, just to pull a community question early, to say, I predict that Xbox will smother their recent evil doing with a Call of Duty trailer featuring a raspy cover of an old song and timing the editing to gunfire.
Oh, predict the song.
Ooh. It's going to be The Sun Will Come Out tomorrow.
Play your own. What's that song that became really popular? It was like a meme.
Daddy Shark do
music. Sing your
from
Lost special song.
From Lost Season 2, Episode 1, when Desmond is in the hatch.
Yes.
Yep. What era is Black Ops in now, though?
90s.
90s?
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Blink-182?
But it's like
no, Blink-182 is aughts. That's later.
Yeah, we're talking like... Well, I mean, Leo, we do know that
Nirvana.
Yeah, but Batman sort of took that. Like, Batman claimed
They don't give a crap.
Leo, we do
it's
know...
all the more reason. Box, Nirvana.
But like 91, like Gulf War era, Leo, we made that musical of Game Informer that was based on the music of 1991. So it'd be like Everybody Dance Now was like the #1 song in 1991. So like the sad...
Oh my God, sad version Everybody Die Now?
Anyways, Ricky had a question. It wasn't just pure cynicism and snark. They say, for real though, is there any way that Xbox can handle the backward studio shutdowns without just feeling like soulless executives? Like for the Xbox show, how are they possibly going to tiptoe around that?
Gamers have selective memories, and I feel like there's a what have you done for me lately? So if Xbox comes out and is just like, yo, here's Fable, yo, Scalebound is revived, like... just drop a couple games. If they brought back
Scalebound, we would be like, wait, you had to shut down 2 studios, but you're bringing back Scalebound?
But then at the end,
guys, I promise.
They make it really clear. We're not bringing back Scalebound. We just brought back the trailer for Scalebound. We just wanted to roll that one more time. We thought it'd be cool.
I do think that the trailers that come from Xbox Studios are not hyped up as like, they're not going to show, like, it won't have the sting at the end of the trailer showing the Xbox console. The Xbox logo will be very fleeting, but they'll just be focused like on the games and the developer and not the Microsoft side of it.
During the Microsoft show.
Like Call of Duty, for example. Call of Duty will just be like, look at Call of Duty from Activision. More than look at Call of Duty from Activision and it's coming to Xbox and it's going to be great.
No, this is their chance to like really rub that stamp of Xbox in all this stuff. I think they're going to be like, Game Pass up your butt! Look at, like, it's going to be nothing but Xbox Game Pass screaming constantly.
It's all going to be Game Pass up your butt.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer's going to come out. His shirt's going to say "I'm sorry" on it, and he'll say, "We know we've had a tough year. We're listening to fan feedback. Let's look forward and enjoy all these games that are coming to Game Pass day one, and that's going to be the end of it. And it's all going to be business as usual after that."
Now,
while the crowd goes, but they'll cut all that out.
Let's see. What about this? Do you think Xbox hardware seems likely, right? The leaks of that weird cylinder all digital version with the lawsuit that got out there and stuff. Huber, you seem horrified at the idea of
new Xbox at SGF.
I think during Microsoft's showcase, I think they're gonna shoot every shot they got to try and get people excited in the deal of like, hey, here's the weird all digital cylinder version of the Xbox for this fall. Let's do it.
Is that going to get people excited though?
No.
Like, hey, we closed all our studios. Now buy another $500 console, please.
That makes it a more likely prediction. That's like appropriately toned up for where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That seems all right. What else we got for predictions for SGF here?
I was thinking of celebrity cameos.
Oh, so perfect.
And I was like, probably Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis
For Borderlands.
for Borderlands.
Great call.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to just throw a random one out there, and I googled Nicolas Cage contemporaries, and Gary Oldman was number one on that list. So Gary Oldman is my surprise cameo prediction for SGF.
Yes,
Okay.
with the games tie-in with Call of Duty, I could totally see that.
He was in Call of Duty, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Frick.
Black Ops 1, I think. Right?
Oh, I forget his name.
I think it was Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4. Or no, World at War?
Black Ops.
No, it was like the big red one or some shit.
It was not a big red one, was it?
Let's just list them all.
He's in Black
I
Ops.
swear the big red
I think it
one
was
has,
Black
like, a
Ops. I think it was Black Ops
connection,
1. It was the guy from Avatar and Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, it was Black Ops.
Yeah, that seems right.
But I think the big red one is like somehow a Black Ops prequel because it has his character or something.
Are you serious?
There's
Hubert, if
something
you're
that
right
looks-
about this,
There's
you'll be
something
declared a
there.
god in the comments. No one's going out on a limb that skinny. It's too odd. But Kyle, I think you're totally right. Like 2K was teasing a new installment from a big franchise. And so it's like, okay, is that going to be the BioShock game finally getting revealed? I don't know if they do that while they're trying to promote Judas and kind of ramp up Ken Levine's new project, or is that going to be a new Civilization? I think it's Borderlands 4, and I think they pair it with a new trailer for the Borderlands movie, and they get that entire cast out there or something. And Jack Black in some silly claptrap costume, falling over himself or whatever.
With his junk hanging out.
Yeah.
He's on.
And they have to blur it out, like he's on daytime TV promoting the Mario movie.
And he also was like, I'm in the Minecraft movie as well. Bye.
Speaking of the ultimate celebrity cameo, I could see, again, based on leaks, it seems like Valve is ready to go for their new MOBA third-person shooter called Deadlock in the leaks. But I could see Gabe Newell being on stage with Keighley for Summer Game Fest to reveal a new Valve IP with Deadlock. Lock it in.
Olsen from New Zealand. Isn't that where he's kind of like holed up now?
Ooh,
Sort of.
yeah. Can you imagine trying to get Gabe to come to your show is got to be tough, but it's like, okay, Gabe, get on a plane. You're going to have to fly around the world and be jet lagged. Just do this for me, this one time, billionaire, please. Yeah, maybe just be like a video conference with Gabe then, or some wacky thing like that.
There were all those rumors about Resident Evil 1 remake, right?
Yeah.
There's those. Now those rumors have been called out as BS. Now the rumor is that it's Code Veronica.
And Zero as well, right?
So I'm saying Code Veronica and Zero. I'm saying Code Veronica shows up.
Veronica herself takes the stage?
Veronica will be shown in the trailers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I played that game like within the last 3 years, and I'm like racking my brain. Like, is there a character named Veronica in that game?
Yeah, it's like, I don't even think. It's Alexia.
It is. I will say there's a moment in that game where you have to enter a code. You have to type a code into
And it's Veronica.
And it's Veronica. And I was like, hey, that's some Hideo Kojima stuff right there.
That's really good. That's really good. By the way, this just in. Reporters on the scene, Ray Lawaza watching us live say Gary Oldman plays a character named Victor Reznov in World at War and Black Ops.
That's good though. That's close enough. That's close enough.
That's weird. So he's like a time traveling Call of Duty canonical character?
Well, because it's like World at War is like 20 years before Black Ops.
Oh, but they're the same
like his
character.
backstory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Kyle, I was losing sleep the other night thinking about the fact that you haven't seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. No, don't do your Phil Spencer apology to me. I was just thinking, like, you are Gary Oldman fan number one. You love like a cool. Yes, you love Gary Oldman. You never stop talking about Gary Oldman.
You're right. Hold on.
Also, it's like
Panda 2.
huge budget, cool, confident, somber, quiet sci-fi movie, and you're like, I'll pass. What's wrong with you?
No, it's not that I'll pass. I gotta make time for it.
But it's been a decade.
I'm busy.
No, you aren't. Show me your schedule for the last decade, you hack. That movie rules so much.
Look, if the kid doesn't want to watch it, it makes it very difficult.
Oh, she'll love it. You'll have a good discussion about the themes afterwards.
Apes, dude, the animals.
There's animals. They do sign language.
I'll predict Apes game.
Apes game.
Apes game.
Another
franchise coming back big.
Another Apes game because they had. Do you remember there's that PlayStation Link?
That visual novel one.
Yes.
Or like adventure one. Yes.
Yeah. And it was like you played it with your phone. It was on PlayStation. It was like an exclusive, I think, for the PlayStation Link. It wasn't good. I think we played through all of it, but technically they did have an Apes game in that universe.
The studio came in and showed that to us in person at the Game Informer offices. I was in there in the room for that showcase where I remember them apologizing a lot.
For the tech not working?
Yeah, for things glitching and stuff.
We're sorry about the apes. We don't want them to take over the world either. We just,
Yeah.
Let's see, what about this? Ubisoft showcase. They'll show a lot of things, a lot of razzle dazzle. Then they say, Leo Vader, we hope you're watching right now. We have one more thing.
Me?
Fade to black, and then Splinter Cell remake gameplay to close it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
And not the VR thing, or the VR thing's earlier in the showcase, or is that canceled?
I think they canceled that. I think there are stories that Ubisoft kind of took the axe to a lot of their VR stuff. It's amazing.
Leo, can you also review Ben's Splinter Cell sound effect?
Oh, it was great.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Love it.
And it came through on Discord. You got to temper it a little bit to not convince Discord it's background noise.
Make it a little human.
Is that noise iconic, or is it just iconic to us old people? Like, do people care about Sam Fisher's night vision anymore? Will they know when that noise hits? Will young people be like, Sam Fisher?
That means he can see in the dark.
Look out! Run!
I think if it has enough of an impact where they know just playing the sound without warning will give people a certain group of people chills.
Right.
It'll work on enough, I think.
Leo, what was that video you did for MinnMax where you just kept inserting that sound in random parts of your essay?
It was when they added Sam Fisher to Rainbow Six Siege.
That's right. And then just remember your editing stream where you were literally just sliding around that sound effect. I realize now it was a precursor to the same comedic genius of Kyle Bossman with the stupid car honk and all the delayed inputs. Always funny just to have it pop up in a random spot.
That was the perfect one to do an editing stream for, because it was like, what is the funniest spot for this? Is it funnier if I wait a second to do it? Needing people's input on that to get it to be funny 6 times in a row.
Okay, Kyle, are you sitting down?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you're ready for this odd choice for celebrity cameo. In the world of hey, who would be somebody that Keely would be excited to have on stage and to talk to, and they're working on a mysterious game. Let me see.
And they have children or grandchildren who like video games. That's an important factor.
Or they're a child of someone who likes video games. One, Max Spielberg. Steven Spielberg's kid. He left Ubisoft. He was a lead designer on Assassin's Creed Unity. He was at Ubisoft for a long time. He left years and years ago, and he is working at a studio. He started a studio in LA called FuzzyBot. No word on what they're doing, but I could see that being hey, welcome to the stage. A Spielberg, everybody.
Coughs through Max. Spielberg. His dad might show up for him, though. Maybe he'll come out on stage with him.
Oh, they come out there together? That'd be cute. Maybe. Yeah.
Or it could be Spielberg.
How old is his son?
He's my age.
45.
How dare you? But he still has, a pacifier in his mouth, I think. Or how about this? Max Spielberg comes out to demo the game for FuzzyBot, and then they raise a curtain for the demo, and it's Steven Spielberg playing the game for the demo, but they never acknowledge it. He's just the voiceless, faceless guy playing it on the sticks.
That'd be cool.
Thanks, man.
I'll never forget that Spielberg game that got canceled. That Alien in the Diner, remember that?
Yeah, LMNO, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
get that going.
No Clip had that. Well, thankfully, Arcane was making it, and so they can jump right back in. Wait, no. What was it? It's Arcane was helping with it, I think, but it was technically an EA project. It was back before Arcane was with Bethesda. So, yeah, bring all those developers over and revive LMNO after closing Arcane Austin.
Carlos in the Backstage Pass chat says, bring out Paul Dano, too. 3 generations of Spielberg, as we've seen in the Fablemans. That'd be interesting. Do you think combining the Spielberg son with Paul Dano, you get a little touching Hi Grandpa moment.
Wow.
I like the idea of Keeley explaining why that's clever.
Oh, Fablemans. Paul Dano. Oh, you played him.
And now introducing Telltale Games' The Fablemans. We hope you enjoy the trailer.
They just announced Fable?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah. What is
man himself here to introduce Fable?
Yeah, I mean, Fable's got to get a good big showcase here, right? It's gameplay of Fable.
They
actually need they need that one.
That could be. I think that's the best bet for like making people smile during the Xbox showcase is if that Fable gameplay lives up to it. And I love Forza Horizon so much that I'm rooting for that developer so much. I feel like they can do it in my heart of hearts. And so I think that's the safest bet.
Spielberg comes out and he's like, "Hey, everybody, it's Fable, man."
Right. They say, "We got it. Leave it alone. We got the connection."
It just keeps coming out for different things.
I was already here. On gameplay, I'm gonna predict that we see Death Stranding 2 gameplay. I think Kojima's gonna be there, and we're due for him to actually like do something.
Release date or demo to take it a step further.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solid.
Aren't we due for that? Leo? I mean, it's time. Death Stranding 2.
We think they're enough.
Jeff, what do you want? Give us a safe one. Give us a scary one. Scare yourself with how scary it is.
I was going to go with another celebrity appearance, and I think it's going to be one Mr. Udo Kier for OD.
OD.
If you look him up, you'll recognize him. And this was what I was thinking. Kojima, they're going to bring him out. They're gonna spend more time on OD than OD is ready to have time spent on it. And that would be, they'll bring him out and he'll be like, Udo will be like, "Yeah, it's amazing, this technology. You can live inside my face or whatever. Yeah. Emotions have never been this real. I denounce all film from now on. It's all video games in the future.
I commit myself to hunting down all remaining celluloid on planet Earth and destroying it once and for all."
Yeah.
Love it.
This is less of a prediction and more I want it to happen. I want to see more Light No Fire, like a gameplay demo of it.
Is that the Hello Games?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're
just making one planet this time. And it's going to be good.
Yeah, I can see big gameplay demo of that.
I had a funky one maybe, and I could be proven wrong by the time you're listening to this with the PlayStation Showcase.
Correct.
But I think as opposed to being at the PlayStation Showcase, I bet Keeley's SGF presentation will have some kind of trailer for a PlayStation TV show. Like they'll save that for SGF.
That's
we'll see a
interesting.
God of War teaser or something like that.
Death Stranding TV show.
Well,
They announced a movie.
They have a movie, I think, right? Is in the works?
Yeah, but Huber's saying it'll air on TV first. I don't know. I'm trying to save him.
I forgot they were doing that.
Yeah, God of War TV show teaser.
Okay.
I think.
I like
That's
that.
a great bet, dude. That's good.
It seems like Remedy's already teasing this in a big way, but it seems like Alan Wake DLC. We'll probably see a Keeley's thing. He's going way back with Remedy. That seems like a lock to have that connection there.
And it'll be Jesse Faden is the protagonist, right? That's her name in Control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like she'll show up in it somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
He said it.
Kingdom Hearts 4. We saw this thing years ago. Just a little tease of Sora and in his little apartment. And then we saw that little bit of gameplay too when he was like running at the giant Heartless.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for another extended tease. Nothing crazy. No huge trailer with like a release date or anything, but just another check-in.
Gotta be new worlds though. What worlds? Yeah, show at least one new world.
I've been itching since Kingdom Hearts 1. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I'm always itching. The Great Mouse Detective. Gotta get it in there, man.
That itch is never being scratched. I don't know how big of a back scratcher you get. You're not going to scratch that itch ever.
You gotta get it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they bring that, and like Nomura brings that to them, and Disney's like, we've got a Moana 2 like teaser trailer. Like, we'd really prefer you to do Moana.
How about you detect a bigger box office result? Go.
I had one of my predictions.
Get Coco in there.
Oh, get Coco in there.
Yeah,
go,
that'd
go,
be a cool
go,
world to
go.
explore. But one of my most unlikely prediction, arguably, that I had on my list, because I think Nomura is too busy for this. But I wrote down Kingdom Hearts 1 remake.
Oh, that's solid. I like that.
But he's busy with 7 and Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he has a more that he can. I think his
could
plate
another
is full.
team remake 1? Some kind of someone else do it.
Yeah, it's like if they bring too many projects to him, Kyle. You know what he's gonna have to say.
No, I don't know what.
Leo.
Echo, you dog.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Fill in the blank at home. No missed joke opportunity here. Okay, rapid fire. What else we got?
That's it. We did it.
That's the show.
You scared us.
A Helldivers 2 announcement. They'll do that at Summer Games Fest. They'll be like, oh, some big planet event is happening.
Yeah, that'll
Also,
be it.
please go buy Helldivers 2.
That's good.
If you
That's
haven't
good.
already.
And if it's not there, it's going to be like at the Game Awards, and they'll bring out like a guy fighting a bug on stage. It'll be like a big bit of a bug.
It's going to be in world, like we interrupt this presentation for an emergency services broadcast about how this new faction's rolling in.
That's so perfect.
Right. And Keeley gets to put on his my favorite, which is Keeley acting face. Like as he's trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be so satisfying.
You're going to have DedSec flashbacks.
All right, leave your predictions in the comments below. Curious what everyone else thinks out there. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to watch all that stuff. Again, for all these things, you can check out our reaction streams on MinnMax's YouTube channel. Or you can react live with us right now to Kyle talking about Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door on Nintendo Switch, the remake of the beloved RPG from 2004. Kyle, I was fascinated that this is your first time playing this damn game.
Yeah, no, never played it. I don't know what I was doing at the time. But no, yeah, I skipped that one for whatever reason.
You were probably like buying calendars for the next couple decades and crossing off every opportunity to watch Dawn of the Planet of the Apes on them back in 2004, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, I think they're revisiting Planet of the Apes. I was so disappointed with that Burton one that I'm out on the franchise forever.
Okay, well now you've seen the light. You've played through 1,000-Year Door. How does it hold up in the year 2024?
I mean, it is good, and I liked it, but it is a 20-year-old game in some instances. I mean, and the big thing for me, have you finished it, or are you playing it? Or
I started this.
It's a big one for you, right?
It's a big one. The original is, I love that original game, but I mean, I hadn't played it for 20 years now, but I dove into this remake and I was like, oh, my first reaction jumping into the remake was like, oh, this looks a lot better than I thought it would. I don't know why I didn't think that it'd be that impressive visually, just having this remake of this old game. But I mean, even, I feel like we've played several Paper Mario games on Switch at this point, but still somehow this one just popped a little bit more for me than Origami King and stuff.
Yeah, because I wonder why that happened. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is like lighting. Like they really injected a lot of impressive lighting into it and like reflective surfaces and things like that. And I do like it. But yeah, the big thing for me is like it is here where because Paper Mario, I feel like kind of gets more and more on an adventure game path over time. Yeah. And this is sort of, although I didn't play a ton of the original Paper Mario, I think I played like the first like 5 or 6 hours or something. Like I rented it back in the day. But this is where you can kind of see it start getting more and more adventure gamey. Like you do still, there is progression, which I was very grateful for, but it's like really limited. You're never hitting stronger necessarily. You find like a pair of boots and a better hammer like halfway through the game, but that's like in the plot. It's not like you find that stuff separately. Yeah. And it's just like you can kind of start seeing it the series going in a direction that I ultimately don't really like. Like this, it felt like I was going back to the last one that felt more like an art. Well, not it still isn't as RPG as like a traditional RPG, but it is more so than every game after it. Like I do generally prefer the Mario and Luigi trajectory, right? Like if you look at Mario RPG and there goes in the Paper Mario direction, the Mario and Luigi direction, right. I do still generally prefer the Mario and Luigi direction because it's a little more actiony, it's a little more RPG mechanics and progression and stuff like that. Right. But is it charming? Like even starting this game up, like I love just the city of Rogueport. It's so fun to be in a Mario game and have just like a trashy city with like a noose in the center of it. And then just like the music bringing me back and like the writing immediately was like, oh, that's right. This is why I love these games where it's just the smallest little thing, but like
tutorial battle in the beginning. Goombella just says like, battle time, Mr. Man. Just find a way to beat this freak of the week, okay? It's like just cramming in like that much weird personality into just like a battle tutorial. It's like, oh, that's right. This is kind of Nate Bildorf and the Treehouse team going nuts.
There were two just charming as hell things about it. In particular, is if you guys haven't played it, you get special powers like Mario can turn into a paper airplane and fly.
Yeah.
And the way it works is you find a cursed chest that you have to open, and when the chest talks to you, and they're like, "You idiot! You opened me. You knew I was cursed. What were you thinking? Now I'm going to curse you to turn into an airplane." And it's like essentially giving you a tutorial for like a new ability that's really cool and helpful. But the dialogue treats it as like, oh, how are you going to deal with this for the rest of your life?
So good.
Which is very funny. And then the character who, not Goombella, but like there's another character who will come in and like give you tutorials occasionally. Her last tutorial, she goes, "Oh, this is the last time I'll ever see you." All right. Well, it's been great, Mario. And I was just like, that's such a little like heartbreaking touch. You know, it's like, I got the last power up hammer and she's shown me how to use it. And she's like, well, that's it. We had a good run, you and I. And it's very sweet. And
I hope you enjoyed.
That's what I really like about the game is like the personality and like it was talking about, you know, where Paper Mario goes that I think you and I both agree on that we don't really love is like that. Thousand Year Door is the last time they had like tons of original, unique, weird characters.
Right.
Because like moving forward, they really don't do that anymore. And it's
I remember
kind of
the follow up on Wii was like so sterile. That was just the vibe. It was just so like nothing. There was a feeling of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The new characters were like geometric shapes. Right, in Super Paper Mario, right on the Wii, yeah.
And so,
but this is like you'll go into a bar and there's like a character that you are kind of like, I don't know if you belong in the Mario universe, man. Like, you really don't fit here, but I'm glad you're here. I like looking at you.
It's like last gasp of Mario franchise for being really freaky. But then again, I guess they're doing fine. Like, there's plenty of weird stuff in Wonder, I guess.
Like this and Super Mario RPG last year are like truly have some weird stuff in them that has, I think the edges have been sanded off in more recent Mario games for sure.
But then again, you look at like even Odyssey, like the Brutals are weird and ugly as hell. Like maybe it just feels like with the Paper Mario series, they've kind of sanded it all off. Cause that in the Sticker Star, Iwata Asks, that's kind of the legendary one where the developers are talking about kind of the direction they're taking it. And it's funny, they said that they were going off feedback for Super Paper Mario. And they said they did a survey after that game to see like, what did you all like about the game? And only 1% of the people answering the survey said the story was interesting in Super Paper Mario. So from that point on, they're like, all right, let's just minimize the story and focus on more puzzly adventure game aspects and minimize RPG stuff. But then that's also the big one where they said that Miyamoto kicked down the door and he said, don't you dare use any characters that aren't in Super Mario World. Like lean on the Toads and stop there, everybody. Stop creating these new freaks.
Yeah.
Which is a bad sign for a game with an RPG.
Yeah.
It's just
it was from that Iwata Asks. I was always because I've heard you say that before, and I was never sure where that was from. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So Miyamoto said, "quote It's fine without a story. So do we really need one? And as much as possible, complete it with only characters from the Super Mario World." So keep it in existing characters and stuff. Stop creating new stuff. But all right, I'm glad you played Thousand Year Door, Kyle.
Yeah, I liked it. It's good.
Okay, not over the moon, but you liked it.
Yeah, not over the moon. I think not that they necessarily need to be compared, but I think I did have more fun with the Mario RPG remake. But there's also nostalgia, and
that's all
nostalgia for the Super Nintendo game. Yeah, but that has a more traditional like progression system, and it's weirder. Which is like. Goes a long way for me for going back and looking at old Nintendo games. But yeah, I had a good time with Thousand Year Door. I'm happy I played it.
Right on. Hubert, did you ever play Thousand Year Door?
Oh yeah, back in the day though.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember Rock Hawk?
Not really, no.
Oh, he's
like you, man. I haven't played it since GameCube days.
Okay, he seems up your alley. Look up a picture of this guy. It's in the Coliseum, and he's the big wrestler guy. He's like quoting Hogan out there, and he's like, "When life rocks you, you rock back, brother." It's like, he is aggressive but very fun.
Some like Ultimate Warrior type.
Right. And Miyamoto said that, and he said, "No, we don't have room in Nintendo's library of characters for an Ultimate Warrior type. He's got to go. I'm sorry." But hey, speaking of Ultimate Warriors, I only think of one person. I think of Leo Vader with his mouse and keyboard playing a little XDefiant, baby. He cannot be stopped. So this is the Ubisoft free-to-play shooter, Call of Duty killer at this point. And I posted it in Slack, like, is anybody interested in this? And Leo, you sheepishly were like, yeah. And then you followed up a couple days later and were like, I'm playing a lot of it, but I hate myself. What's the tone here for your journey in XDefiant?
I might be through it now, my journey with it.
Okay.
I played it some more this morning just to be fresh on it, but it's like, it's got the good feel of a shooter where you're getting a lot of plink plink headshot kill streak stuff. That feedback is really strong, and the respawn timer is really short. So if you want to play an absolute no-brainer shooter and get the feeling of playing a shooter without having to put any effort in, like, it serves that purpose.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing so much the finals all year, and I think that's just the future of shooters, and I love it so much. But it's also hard to play by myself, and so I'll go to something like XDefiant when I want those vibes, but my friends aren't online.
Yeah. I don't connect you with being a big COD person.
No. I haven't been. It's a very different type of shooter. The time to kill is super, super short.
So short.
Yeah.
It's crazy, which makes it COD style. The reason I haven't gotten into COD very much the last few years is like, it kind of just feels like you're all taking turns shooting each other in the back, and dying doesn't matter because you come back so fast. So you just get the feeling of getting kills without anything meaningful going on. It's really like, I look at this game and the abilities in it and the construction of it, and I'm like, how could in 1,000 games anything interesting happen? I really can't picture it. It's just the feel of a shooter that feels pretty good.
The flamethrower is pretty sick.
Okay.
That's the other thing, is it's like Destiny Crucible, where you kind of take turns getting ultimates, including the flamethrower, where you get a bunch of free kills. All the ultimates are super, super strong, and when your enemy has them, it's like, okay, now it's my turn to be dead, and soon it'll be his turn to be dead by my ultimate.
So, I mean, you say nothing can happen. It's catching on. It's pretty impressive. It's like,
it's kind of cool.
Oh, all right.
I'm kind of into this game.
Yeah.
But it also makes me really depressed because it's like I might delete it from my hard drive like after this. Like there's just so much competition. I like this game, and I think it's really cool that it's free to play, and I think it's really cool that it's celebrating Ubisoft's history with, like, Watch Dogs in there, Splinter Cell in there, Far Cry in there. Like, I'm hoping some of the maps later get like really, really weird. Like, give me Monteriggioni from Assassin's Creed 2 for no reason.
Yes.
Let me like run around there. So I think they have a map potential, but the main reason I give this game credit is because of the objective based modes. It's not just obviously people are just running around shooting everyone, but there's like pretty good objective teamwork in there, and nothing we haven't seen before. They just have like payload and domination. But I love playing objectives in multiplayer games, and like every match I played, I felt like even if I couldn't shoot people, I was contributing to the team and helping with the objectives. So I really like that part.
Yeah, I definitely like the Ubisoft mashup pitch of it. Mm-hmm. And I find myself forgetting that it even is that when I'm playing it, though, because the properties that are in there are like, The Division, Watch Dogs is a little bit of a different one, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, and they all kind of end up being like a brown shooter.
They all look better in their own games, for sure.
Yeah. Very sterilized version of all of them, versus like if there was a Rayman faction, I would be here fighting for this game so hard.
But I was about to ask, it's just the Ubisoft like gun franchises, right? Like, you're not seeing.
I mean, Mario and Rabbids, that's a gun franchise for Ubisoft at this point, right? I mean, Mario's got those blasters and stuff. I mean, they've got to be saving that for the Ubisoft thing.
Assassin's Creed, they've got to. I mean, it's right there. It's their biggest franchise. Like, it's so popular, and I think it would make the game stand out even more because, again, there's just so much competition. It's so crowded. I mean, Warzone is free, but like when I play Call of Duty, I like the deathmatch stuff. So to get like a deathmatch style Call of Duty clone for free, I think is also really.
Yeah,
that's the big reason I've been playing it. Is it's so easy to boot up and be in a match in 2 minutes, and you're having some level of fun. You're having some level of dopamine reaction.
Yeah,
it works.
I think the progression kind of sucks, Leo. What do you think?
Really slow crawl through a battle pass where I don't really want anything on it. Yeah,
nothing. Yeah, I want none of it.
This has been a roller coaster.
I know. Yeah. But then like the part that I just keep thinking about too is like it has 8 million players at the moment. Like, yeah, it's tearing it up. It's wild. You never predict which way these things are going to go. Like, Ubisoft releases so many attempts in this arena for like, we want to capture a living game. Please let us have something we can update forever. And it's just been like dud. And then this one, cow, at least out of the gate. It's wild to see.
And Siege randomly catches on bigger than it ever did.
Right. So do we think it has legs? Is it a flash in the pan that's easy to pick up and play, but who knows?
It'll outlive the finals, and I'm not responsible for the bloodbath that comes from that.
You're so right, Leo.
If you care about the future of shooters, go play the finals. Get some friends together. It's so fun. I totally going to the XDefiant from the finals. All the guns feel the same. It gave me appreciation for the finals. Like every gun has its own feel, and it's almost asymmetrical how different all the weapons are and how meaningful it is to choose a different weapon versus the finals versus XDefiant is capturing that COD like a million interchangeable assault rifle.
Yeah.
Right on. XDefiant, everybody. Free to play out there for everybody. Curious to see how it evolves here. Who knows? This is why the game industry is fun to be like, a year from now, is this just going to be a new staple? Like, I have no idea.
I just hope they get weirder with it. It's pretty sterile right now. If they start announcing weird stuff, give it more of its own personality and get excited about Ubisoft for it existing versus it. Right now, it exists as trying to catch up with Call of Duty and not surpassing it in, I think, any way.
Right. But if Call of Duty stumbles, who knows?
I think, I think of like For Honor. For Honor has been quietly chugging along for so many years, and I think XDefiant can do something similar.
Yeah, good point. Okay, in a very similar arena, we got Multiversus. This is the Smash clone. This is the platform fighting game that Warner Brothers made. Released it, a year and a half ago, somewhere around there, and I don't know how many people played it back then. I played it and was like, this is better than I thought it was going to be. Like, this is solid. Yeah. And then they said, yoink, in a very cartoony fashion and took it away from us and said, that was just the beta. Never mind. Pretend you didn't play that. And now it's out 1.0 for real. And Leo, you jumped back into it. You were playing some more of this thing?
I'm so into it.
Ooh,
it just came out yesterday.
Whoa!
It's so good. It's crazy.
Dude, I was up till like 5 a.m.
Give us your mains.
Bugs Bunny
right
all
there.
The way right now.
Jason Voorhees, baby.
Yes, Jason's so fun.
Ooh.
Jason, your down Y is put him in a sleeping bag and spin him around. Like that classic Jason scene.
So stupid.
So perfect. Jason is amazing in it, and it's like I don't get the opportunity to play as Jason Voorhees that often. It's so rare. So the fact that he's in this game is just like such a treat.
In a cartoony way that meshes with everything else, but still has Jason specific personality. You feel like you're playing a Jason game. It's weird how similar this is to XDefiant in that it is one brand leveraging what they own to copy something else. And I was trying to tell my partner about it last night. I was like, it's like Smash Brothers, but with like Warner Brothers. So you got Rick and Morty and you got LeBron James in there and stuff. And she was like, oh, lame. And I was like, no, but the sentence ends with, and it's really good for some reason.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that your examples of properties that they own included a basketball player as a real human person.
And a Looney Tunes character now.
I mean, I remember that during the 210s, the year it kind of sort of came out, I remember we're talking about like how good the Tom and Jerry implementation was. How it's like their attacks are them trying to attack each other, but they're attacking the other people. It's like, that is such a brilliant way to approach that.
Yes. And I think the difference maker, because truly it's these games being similar, it's funny to be rallying extremely hard for one and not the other. But the difference is how much care is put into like making the brands have personality. Like the things you're represent those things really well in a way where if you're playing Bugs Bunny versus Marvin the Martian, you are playing a Looney Tunes fighting game that kicks ass. And that's so weirdly exciting. You get matched up with bots for the first couple hours, which I wish you could just opt into, and they didn't pretend wasn't happening. I wish you could just go like, I want to play bots for the first few hours or not. But regardless, I was Bugs Bunny against Marvin the Martian, and I just beat him 10 times in a row for fun. And I was like, this is some canon Looney Tunes, because you do the Looney Tunes stuff. You hide in the ground, pop up somewhere else. You ride a rocket towards him. You hop up in the air and paint a safe, and it drops down and crushes him.
This is so weirdly. You're not a big Smash guy, are you?
No, this is exactly the other thing. You need, if you're going to
are you anymore, Leo?
What's happening?
What I want is for the thing you're cloning to then go, oh, we need to do what they're doing because they're bringing something to it. XDefiant, I don't think is going to have that impact at all. This game for sure feels better than Smash Bros. To me.
Whoa!
Oh no!
Hey.
No!
I would.
No!
Oh my god! I can't believe how much I like it.
There is a granular feeling in Smash that this does not have. This is a little clunkier, a little less like needle point accuracy that Smash has. Smash has such tight perfection with like the dodges and the hits and the canceling and the just. I love this
and
game.
It doesn't have
Leo,
entirely too many characters.
I have very little
property. I mean, come on, how many sword guys are even in Multiversus?
Yeah, come on, man.
I have very little Smash reverence. I haven't really liked it since I was a kid, and I think part of that is because it's always free for all, and I never can tell what's going on. But
Well,
this is
that's
always
the charm.
1v1 or 2v2, and the enemy team is completely painted red, so I can always tell what's going on. That makes a big difference for me.
Is Agent Smith in this thing yet?
Oh,
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass to unlock. You gotta really grind for him.
Oh, that sucks.
but
The
you just buy
progression's
them,
pretty
right?
intense.
That's the whole deal, right? You can just buy characters, right?
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, Agent Smith, I think so. Everybody else, definitely.
Okay.
I think you can earn Smith now, but then buy him in 2 weeks or something.
yeah, okay.
So when it starts, it's like if you do these things, you can get him early or something. It's weird.
Okay. It is such an interesting choice we're bringing in the Matrix and we're bringing in Agent Smith. Like, it's cool. I guess maybe they needed more villains or just they couldn't get the likeness rights for Carrie-Anne Moss or something. It's such a weird choice.
They needed more villains for sure.
Okay.
The choices are weird. Right now, if you log in 2 days in a row, you unlock Banana Guard from Adventure Time as a playable fighter.
Okay.
Banana Guard.
Banana
which to me
Guard.
felt like one they didn't think they could get people to pay for, so they're using him as some other incentive.
Here you go.
Weird. Yeah, I saw there were rumors, like data miners and whatnot, that Beetlejuice might be coming. And like if that's like timed up with the sequel movie, like that seems ripe. That'll get me in. Or even like Animaniacs. It's like, okay, I will absolutely boot that up to play as either of those characters for sure.
I mean, Furiosa, right? She could end up in there.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Oh
That'd be
my god,
interesting.
yeah, that's Warner Bros. You're so right.
Yeah, that'd be funky.
Oh, that's coming for sure. Dude, Keeley has that already locked and loaded.
Oh, Anya Taylor-Joy on the stage. Oh, I could see it. That's cool.
Pre-arm, post-arm. You know, there's so many skins they could do.
Leo, I'm actually hoping they add 4-player, just free for all. I hope they add it just as an option.
It is. Do. Wait, I think it is an option, at least in private games. I think maybe privates only, because my friends and I were doing that.
Got it.
But
and
yeah,
if you mess around with the riffs at all, I was getting like they're so simple and mindless when you play it on like easy or even normal. But I just couldn't stop because it's just like that. It felt like I was playing a mobile game where I was just like, yo, here's your rewards. And it was
Alexa,
3 minutes
open the back
long.
door.
Go again. I was just like, I can't stop this.
Yes, that's the new thing from this relaunch is the single player content / co-op content you can do with 2 players, where it's a lot like Smash Bros. Single player of going through different nodes, including bonus stages where you're destroying targets and playing mini games and stuff. Which are cute.
There was like a sick jump rope one. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and little story moments of like there's one arc in there right now where everybody's been brainwashed by the Joker, and you get a little text introduction of Bugs Bunny saying, "Don't mess with the Joker, Doc. He's the zaniest guy around." And he's wearing like a Joker merch. It's really stupid, but it rocks.
I'm glad you guys are digging it. Yeah, I want to jump back in. Also, it's like, I don't think when it first launched, I had a Steam Deck, and now it's like, this seems like a pretty good Steam Deck game just to boot up there.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yo, Leo, dude, can we group up, man? Get some duos going, dude?
Yo,
Let's
let's
go.
do it. Yes.
We're all just going to...
Bugs Bunny and
the only
Jason
one-
Voorhees, great combo.
Yes.
Am I the only one who's not over the fact that we basically invented this game in Game Enforcer like years ago?
Oh, a Game Informer thing of like Warner Brothers fighting game? Oh, it was Looney Tunes versus DC, right?
No, it was
Mortal
like
Kombat,
all of Warner Brothers, and we had all those gags with like Bugs Bunny uppercutting someone into a pit and
Right. Well, there's only so many ideas in the world.
Dude, no, there's a mole. Someone stole that.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
In our widely published.
Well, they don't have to be a mole. We
magazine.
sent it out to everyone.
Nah, we consider all of the Game Informer readers moles and rats, vermin of some sort. I thought you were going to comment on, are we all just going to ignore the part where Kyle was opening his back door through Alexa while podcasting?
I thought I hit the mute button. I'm sorry, I was letting the dog in.
Yeah. So hurry, everybody go to Kyle's house right now. The back door's open.
No, it closes, it opens and closes. You can't get in. Don't try.
Oh, smart.
Don't try.
Jeff, welcome back, man.
It's me.
On your big old break, between diapers and pooping and peeing and feeding and chomping and loving and cooing, you were playing Dragon's Dogma? We haven't talked to you about Dragon's Dogma yet?
Yeah, I played a bunch of games, including some Dragon's Dogma. I've played more recently.
Okay.
It still feels like it's my most anticipated game for this year, even though I've played like 15 hours of it at this point, because it's just like I cannot get enough time in like a sitting to make a bunch of progress. I feel like I'm 0.5% of the way through the game. I've created my characters.
Okay.
And I've done some early questing.
How long did you spend creating your character? This is always the most important question.
3 nights, Michael. I created the first one.
What
it took me like an hour and a half, and I was like, well, I'm going to bed. And then the next night, I played for like 2 minutes or something. They were like, okay, now create a pawn. And I did that until the baby woke us up, and then I was like, okay. And then I finally got to start playing some actual game. But I mentioned this one as the one that I wanted to talk a little bit about because it is like I find it really interesting and I find it really promising for where it's going, because it's a huge game, and like a lot of huge games I feel like have let me down recently, and this one feels like someone when I was streaming it said it was a great game in their opinion, but that it kept the weirdness of the original, and like that kind of that like stuck in my mind as like, yes, this is what has been missing from other games, and in some ways like in contrast to Rebirth, and I don't want to poo-poo on Rebirth too much.
I will walk out of this room right now, Jeff.
It was that sense of like Rebirth took the first remake and like kind of made it a lot more familiar with the things that you were doing in the game, and it felt just more Western and more of an open world game in terms of like the little activities and things that you were doing. It felt much more familiar, and this is the one. Dragon's Dogma is the one that just keeps surprising me with like weird mechanisms and like weird things. There's a physicality to the fighting that has just like sold me very early on, where it's like you just have a grab button and you're just grabbing stuff. You can grab enemies, you can throw them off a cliff, you can grab your own teammates and like throw them. You can pretty much grab any NPC and carry them around. Yeah. And I had one moment where it was just like, I'm sure everyone has discovered this, but there was a ladder, like rolled up on top of this cliff that I couldn't get up to. And like I climbed up some other cliff, but it was too far to jump over. I just grabbed my like little dwarf NPC guy that I had created, and I just chucked him over there, and he like hit the edge and blood splurted out, but then he just got up and he just kicked down the rope ladder for me, and I was like, well, this is perfect. What more do you want? And it's like, and you're fighting, you're like fighting harpies and all the kind of like normal enemies, but like harpies, you'll get into a big battle with, like all your pawns and everybody who's following you around, and they'll just start putting people to sleep, and you just like ragdoll and fall over, and like other people have to come and like shake you to wake you up. Like waking is a mechanism, and like I got attacked by a wolf and it tackled me and then just bit onto me and started running off and like dragging me through the forest, and it's like, what is going on in this game? Like, this is great. Like all the melee, like melee focused action RPG combat games that I play, like this is the one where I actually feel like I'm getting into like actual scrapes with enemies, and like we're roughing each other up in a way that that normally doesn't happen in games.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't stop thinking about your Rebirth comparison, and I'm sorry for constantly framing everything through Rebirth, but it is interesting to think about because Rebirth is a weird as hell game, but it is such a different dynamic because gameplay-wise, it's like the systems are kind of comforting and familiar, and then they just pack in really weird, surprising stuff, story-wise and stuff around those edges, you know?
For sure. Like, yes, all like, and I've still, of what I've played of Rebirth, I've loved the story. I love there's definitely plenty of weird stuff going on in that game, but it was that feeling of like, well, I've finally entered the second zone that I'm going to be in, and now we're cleaning the slate, and I'm going to have to go to all the towers and all the chocobo stops and all of like those very basic kind of gameplay loops. And this one I spent like the last 12 hours just in the first town, because there's this castle that you get sent to, and they're like, you're the only Arisen in the world, and you should go like present yourself and let people know that that's who you are, because the queen is propping up this other person who's a fake Arisen. And like, you meet one guy at the castle, and he's like, okay, we're gonna announce that you're the Arisen, but here, like, this is what you're gonna have to do. And then he gave me like, it's been like 12 quests. I just like everything that I do for him, I keep going back to him, and he's like, okay, now you got to sneak into a masquerade and find out who the fake Arisen is. And it's like, it's weird stuff and it's interesting stuff. And I feel like I've already done so much and built up my rapport with my pawns and things just in this little town. And I'm like, I'm itching to get out and go to different places in this giant world. Like, can we announce that I'm the Arisen and just start moving on?
That's sweet. Looking forward to you playing more of that thing and streaming it on MinnMax's Twitch and all that stuff. I think you were there last week doing it. It's cool. And then there's another game that I'm curious to hear more about that we haven't talked about on the podcast yet, even though we had a code giveaway for it, but it's Dicefolk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's blown it by not checking this one out. If you've had a bunch of fun with Balatro,
sounds good.
It is, yeah. So it's like a lot of people have referred to it as like roguelike Pokemon game,
right?
Which if that's selling you, then go for it. I feel like it's underselling it a little in the sense that there are some really interesting like mechanisms underneath it, because it's dice based as the name suggests, but you have like your three creatures, and each one has its own unique kind of ability that gets triggered based on like certain things that are happening in a fight, like when it gets attacked or when it becomes the lead creature or whatever. But so like basically you have three characters on this circle, and the enemy will have usually up to three characters on a circle, and the first two that are out are the ones that are fighting. And so one of the big mechanisms is you're constantly rotating in other characters. But the other interesting thing about it is that you roll dice for all of your actions, but at the same time, you're also rolling dice for the enemy actions, and you're choosing what they do and in what order that they're using their attack. So it will be like, okay, you have to turn the enemies once. You'll rotate their circle, which will change who the lead attacking one is, and then you'll do one attack, and then you'll do one other thing, and you sit there and you think like, well, okay, I can use my shield on my character, and then I can rotate him in, and then I'll switch to this weaker one and use his attack, and or I'll switch him out and get back to the one that has lower HP. And so like you're kind of orchestrating the fight on both sides in a way that's really satisfying. Weird. And that's also kind of ingenious for like programming a game, because they don't really have to do AI. Like you're doing the AI for the enemy creatures. You're just making it as easy on you as possible. And so it has this really interesting, and then like you're switching out your creatures for different ones, so they have different abilities, and then you're giving them like different items, which are basically like relics in normal roguelikes, which like can make them completely overpowered. And then you're also upgrading the dice that you have, and you're changing the individual dice faces to be more powerful or to give you different abilities. So there's a lot of like really interesting, unique ideas. That's why I like Balatro so much, is it takes like a very familiar genre and it does unique things. Like this one is doing it with kind of this Pokemon style dice based system that's not too hard, and it's it has all the kind of other trappings of roguelike games that makes them very satisfying.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on it.
Don't sleep on it.
On my list immediately.
There you go.
Love it.
We even got a code for you, Huber, if you want it. We got it ready to go. That's show. But Dicefolk is the name of the game. It's on Switch. It's on Steam. It came out in February of this year.
Yeah, it'll be on, I think it's coming out on Switch in June.
Oh, really? Okay.
June 20th or something.
Awesome.
Like that.
Cool.
That would be a great system to check it out.
I just want to say shout out to MinnMax for showing me like a lot of games that are incredible that I've never heard of. Nobody more than MinnMax. Nobody more than MinnMax.
You should check out Indie Informer, actually. Jill Crow and the team over there, that we just are kind of the sloppy seconds version of them for like, hey, there's a bunch of cool games that we should all pay attention to. I'm obsessed, Hubert, with like, I want to find some way to highlight these kind of hidden gems a little bit more. Yeah. And so I've talked about it before in like meetings of like, do we have a Discord channel where people in the community can like, if they find something new on Steam that rules and no one's talking about, can they shoot up a flare? Can we, light the torches? And once you hit 5 torches, then somebody from MinnMax has to play. Like we have such a great community here and they're all playing so many games. I just want to have some system in place for being like, no, really, Dicefolk is good. Don't miss it, everybody. Because like, I feel like best case scenario for a lot of outlets, it's like end of the year, we do a roundup of hidden gems and kind of give these games a sentence and move on, but it's like, I wish throughout the year we could kind of highlight this stuff a little bit more, but it's tough to surface it at times.
Totally. Well, you're doing perfect.
This is what you missed, Jeff. Is just a lot of Huber kissing our asses and being very sweet and kind. It's just a lot.
Well, you framed it in a really negative way, but I like the positive energy. Yes.
It does help. Speaking of hidden gems, how about Infinity Gems? Okay, real quick, a little arcade corner, everybody, if you don't mind. So what I played over the weekend was like I went out to like my family's lake place, which Leo's been out there, Kyle's been out there as well. It's just it's a garage with a MAME cabinet in it, basically. But it is getting so much fun because last summer I bought one of those arcade 1-up machines for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And like my nephews are 8 and 10, and so they're like perfect age, and it is so much fun to go through, and they are just falling more and more in love with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like looking up a bunch of videos on YouTube, watching like Maximilian Dude to see like, does he say who the best character is? Why does he just tell us who the best character is? It's like, well, every character is flexible, but like it is so much fun to play that game with them because it's just like the greatest tour of all things nerdy. And I'm not trying to be one of these weirdos that's trying to indoctrinate younger kids and be like, oh, like what I like. But it's so fun because they're really into Fortnite. And so now with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I'm like, oh, they just added Magneto to Fortnite. You should see Magneto in this game. He rules. He's like top tier. And like, I get Magneto. I call dibs on Magneto. And like just seeing like this tour through comics, but then also just the history of Capcom with this thing is so fun. And like, they've played a lot of Darkstalkers. We've played a lot of Puzzle Fighter and stuff too. So like seeing those crossover, like, okay, we can be Sakura in this and we can be Akuma in this. Or like, okay, let me tell you where Jill is from and why one of her special attacks is just a dog coming out and attacking you, like, or crows flying down. It's just, or serve bots. Like I'm just trying to constantly use serve bots to convince them that Mega Man Legends is the best thing in the world. And they're missing out by not playing this dusty old game, but it's so much fun.
And you're not trying to indoctrinate them.
Absolutely not. I'm just explaining the history of these games, and if they like my pitch, they like the pitch. That's fine. But it's just like
no one's trying.
But honestly, it was so fun because on the old arcade cabinet we have out there, we played a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom 1. But for some reason, there wasn't a ROM and MAME for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But now actually having this whole cabinet with like better feeling controls for this, it's just the perfect step up for everybody. It's just, it's so much fun. But real quick, there's a game out there that I'm curious, Jeff, if you know, because you know old stuff. Do you know Volfied, the game? Volfied. It's a Taito game from 1989. It's available on Switch if you want to check it out. Hamster had a port of it. So it's an odd game, and I'll get into the basics of it. But the history of it is, do you know Qix? Qix?
Sounds familiar, but
it's like geometric shapes, right?
Yeah. What was that, Kyle?
Vector graphics, right? Like
it kind of looks that way, not quite full vector, but it doesn't have much of an art style. But the weird claim to fame in my mind for Qix, that old arcade game, is that was the basis for the old Game Informer logo. is Andy McNamara was like, oh, just give us a logo that looks like the Kix logo. And so that's
some good lore.
Yeah. But so this game, Volfied, is the spiritual successor to Kix, and this is from 1989. And so the whole pitch is you're a little spaceship now. This has, instead of just kind of like the abstract shapes and stuff, this is more of like a sci-fi themed of like you're going back to reclaim the planet Volfied or whatever the hell. But it's super cool because you're like along the edges, and there's just almost like Snake. There's just like wild monsters roaming around in the middle here. And if you touch any of them, you die, right? It lights a fuse and you die. But you're trying to corral them off. So like they're just roaming around, and then you can just boost from the edge of the frame in the arcade game. And if you make a square around them, then they're locked off. And there's also like power-ups that you can capture along there. But I played so much of it this weekend. I absolutely fell in love with it. It is like the best arcade risk reward dynamic since like Miss Pac-Man for me. I'm trying to think, just like those levels, like I think I can corner that guy. I'm going for it, and like boosting from the edge to try and square it off in time. But then it's like the fuse gets lit, come back, blows you up, and then you get to the next level if you square off like 80% of the arena. So you can kind of like slowly chip away. But as you chip away the arena, you're making the arena smaller and smaller. And so all the enemies are in there going faster and faster. So you don't have as much wiggle room to like section them off and get them off on their own. But it was a blast to play. So arcade games, still fun, everybody. And it's on Switch if you want to play some Volfied.
It's on Switch? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Hamster. Yeah, Hamster has a version out there on Switch. I immediately got home and bought it to play more of this.
Yeah, I just pulled up some gameplay. Yeah.
Oh, I think the place I saw it was in one of Sakurai's videos, his YouTube channel, where he's still going through and talking about game development tips and stuff. And I forget what the video was about, but he showed gameplay of Volfied in there. I'm like, what is that game? I got to write that down. That looks so weird. And if it's good enough for Sakurai, it's good enough for me. And by God, that guy knows a thing or two about games.
Yeah, I was trying to look that up because I had played a different version of it. And that version was called Jez Ball, where it's just balls bouncing around that you're trying to split up into different ones.
Yeah.
And when I was looking it up, there was a Reddit forum post that said that they were trying to figure out what game it was, and they described it as an ancient game about cutting bits off with a rectangle. And that's where they said, you're thinking of Quicks. So good job being ancient like me.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. And fun Kix facts, or Quicks, however you want to pronounce that game, is they made a Game Boy version of Kix. Taito did, but during the loading screens, they included Mario in it. It's almost like a Punch-Out thing. And so it's just Mario in like different regions. So it's like Mario in Mexico or Mario in Russia. It's just like weird little animated Mario bits for that old Game Boy game.
I have a vague memory of like being at a friend's house and they had that on Game Boy.
Really?
And like, it was like in that era and that age where like I didn't immediately understand it. And so I was just like, well, this doesn't make any sense. I can't figure this out. I'm never touching this again. You know, I played it for like 2 seconds and I was like, what is this? And just got rid of it.
Those are the games. I feel like everybody in your childhood, when you see a game, like, I don't understand what's going on here. Just make a mental note. And then in 10 years, you'll come back and be like, oh, this was actually genius. I just didn't understand. But like when you're a kid and you see something like Columns, it's like, I don't think this is fun. But then as an adult, like, okay, Columns was really an all-timer back on Genesis. We should have paid more attention to it. Hey, Jeffem. Do you know how this thing absolutely does not operate?
On Spaceballs that you try and shoot across a thing to.
Yeah, it's largely a Spaceballs based economy. But we're trying to get away from asking how the whole thing operates because of course it's just Patreon. Everybody knows the whole thing here at MinnMax exists because of Patreon. Patreon.com.
Well, what's your new segue?
I just kind of talk about plugs and stuff, bigger supporters. But for this one, I actually do want to talk about Patreon because I have something else to plug, if that works. Okay. So bear with me, Leo. This is all going to get seamless and ironed out in a beautiful way.
You're doing great. Don't let me interrupt.
Thank you so much. But this is a whole independent outlet here at MinnMax, and you can help support it directly by jumping into patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. You jump in at even that $2 tier just for 1 month. That is incredibly helpful. I'd argue like 300 to 400 times more helpful than just watching us on YouTube. We crunched the numbers. I crunched the numbers in the past and my math was way off. So if you supported us on Patreon because I said 40,000 times, send me a DM and I'll give you a refund because that's my bad. It's actually about 400 times more helpful than watching us once on YouTube to jump in at that $2 tier.
That's still a big number, to be fair.
It's still big. It's not 40,000, but
it's lost a few zeros.
It's fine. But here's the thing. We have a special perk for you. If you support us before the end of the day on Friday, May 31st, even at that $2 tier, we will send you a code for Jackbox Party Pack 6 on Steam. Unquestionably one of the most fun games you can play with a group. If you've never played Jackbox, I don't know what's wrong with you, but there's probably people out there that don't own Jackbox Party Pack 6. And the reason it's 6 and going back in time is they just had a big content update for Trivia Murder Party 2 that we actually streamed with Jackbox Games themselves. It's on MinnMax's YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But if you support us at even that $2 tier, whatever tier you want, but even that $2 tier, we'll send you a code for the Steam version of Jackbox Party Pack 6 that has Joke Boat in it, which is one of my favorites. Push the Button, which is one of my favorites. That's their hidden deception game, all that fun stuff.
Unique amongst the packs.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks everybody for supporting MinnMax on Patreon, and we'll be sending out those codes through Friday. Thank you as well to people like I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know that they have the Joystick Jazz Blue Shift Big Band Plays Iconic Video Game Hits vinyl soundtrack. That's right, Leo. The Joystick Jazz, the Blue Shift Big Band Plays Iconic Video Game Hits vinyl soundtrack volumes 1 and 2. So
I'm sorry, could I hear Kyle say it?
Yeah, Kyle, take it away, man.
That?
Big joystick. Blue? I think I heard the word blue in there. Jazz?
That's
Jazz
right.
Covers of video game songs, right? I love that.
That's right, everybody. Hits band video, the iconic joystick plays Blue Shift, everybody. Game vinyl soundtrack. Thanks to I'm 8-Bit. It truly is an incredible series of vinyls here with music from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Grim Fandango, Ocarina of Time, Kyle. Banjo-Kazooie, maybe not Half-Life necessarily. The Blue Shift is confusing. Shift. Yeah, I get the reference, but I don't think it's going to be in here. But every other great soundtrack is packed into these suckers. It's fantastic. And you can check that out at I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store. You go there, and if you're a dork or if you're trying to buy a present for a dork, you can't do better than I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store. Find something right for you. And, of course, you can use the promo code GOT-IT-FOR-MY-MAMA. Got it for my mama for 10% off of everything in I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store, everything under $100, that is. And help support I'm 8-Bit because they support the MinnMax community in a huge way by shipping in a prize each and every week to whoever has the best question submitted over there on Patreon. Nothing better than this. This week, whoever has the best question submitted on Patreon gets the Outer Wilds vinyl soundtrack from I'm 8-Bit. That's a goodie. That's a goodie to have on vinyl.
Very goodie.
And if you say, God, that's cool. I can't believe they'd have a custom I'm 8-Bit exclusive Outer Wilds vinyl soundtrack. That's the type of store that they are. So go check them out. Use that promo code. Keep them around for us. We appreciate it. All right. Ready for community questions?
Yeah.
Okay,
Patreon.
good. Patreon. That's like our new, right on, man. Lorch Durden writes in, do you know that in Leo, we have a Danish family friends? And I got to look into the etymology of this, but they were saying that back in the 70s, the way that in Denmark they used to say something was cool is they'd say canon. It's canon, man. That's canon. It's I don't know what it translates to, if it's literally like a cannon. But anyways, Lorch Durden writes in, they say, hey all, welcome back, Jeffem.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Lord Sturden. You won Question of the Week. You won the Outer Route. No, maybe. We'll let Jeff make the call. Maybe. But thank you for welcoming him back. C.A. Brown writes in and says, hey, everybody. Mega Man Powered Up is trapped on the PSP. It's bad news. Bad news for everybody. It's my favorite Mega Man game by far. What games would you love to see ported and saved from being trapped on old hardware?
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Is that number one? Just number like old Snake, just trapped? I mean, he's free in Fortnite. Isn't that basically as good as Guns of the Patriots, Uber?
No.
He's in Smash Brothers. Come on.
He is. But we need, especially after, because they released Volume 1.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. 4 is so due for a cultural re-examination, this game.
Yep.
Like, it is the only game that ever dethroned Resident Evil 2 for me. For a brief moment.
Ooh,
for a brief moment, I was like, that's my favorite game of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you re-examined it?
It's the culmination.
It's everything. But have you gone back to revisit it after that moment, or what made it kind of...
Yeah.
in retrospect, you're like, those cutscenes.
Yeah, a lot of cutscenes. It's like you definitely have to be in a specific mood, whereas the original Resident Evil 2, I can play anytime, anywhere, any day, whenever, all the time, forever.
Yeah.
Always good.
To borrow a Jeff Gerstmann-ism, I was holding my Condemned 2 Bloodshot on PS3 box yesterday at my parents' house. Yes, Huber. Condemned Criminal Origins is on Steam, but Condemned 2, I don't think made it off of that generation ever.
Crazy.
I got no way to play it.
Wait, couldn't you put the 360 disc in a Series X, probably?
I wonder.
Depends on the game.
I'm going to test it. I've got it. I've got a 360 copy. I'm going to test it.
Please do. That game was awesome. It was like the first game, and it was a horror first-person melee combat game, but they really blew out the combat system, including right trigger being punch with your right hand and left trigger being punch with your left hand, and then you do combos like that. It was
I just remember a lot of lead pipes, Leo. A lot of lead pipes.
Yes, God. Genuinely really scary. Love that game.
That's sweet. Which is one with the bear?
Condemned 2.
Condemned 2.
Bloodshot.
Okay, of course. Chat, the Crowboy watching us live at the Backstage Pass here, they say Lufia 2. The remake on DS doesn't count, but yeah, I would love to see Lufia 2 get off the Super Nintendo, like have that even for like Nintendo Switch Online or something. I could use a reason to go back and revisit that game because that game was freaking sweet.
Well, I also, on that Metal Gear, I hope Ghost Babel is part of that collection too.
Ghost Babel,
yeah.
Like, throw that in Volume 2.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think they're going to need it. Yeah, we asked the Konami developers like a preview event, who knows? It's classic PR speak. But the way they framed it is when asked about all these games, they said nothing is off the table. Like even Twin Snakes is not technically off the table completely for Volume 2. So pre-order now. Sight unseen was, of course, the natural message.
There's also a mobile game that was like a prequel to Metal Gear Solid 2 that never came out in America, but it was developed by a British developer. And I had an email with one of them, and I emailed them a few times to try to like get them to talk about making it, but they kind of fell off. I don't know. They stopped replying to me, sadly. Hideo Kojima got to them, I guess.
Yeah, stop harassing them, stop yelling at them, I guess. Even like Metal Gear Solid Touch, the weird Metal Gear Solid 4 port for iPhones, like just get all that weird stuff in there. The Acid series, that'd be super fun. Nightmare Creatures. Ooh, yeah. Good call.
Or like PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Is that game as good as I want it to be? In retrospect, I was like one of the greatest demos I ever played over and over and over again. But
it's not, but it's still sick as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little cumbersome. You'll be like, it doesn't feel as good as I remember.
Yeah.
But just still really cool.
But that's like an Activision joint, right? Like talk about like Microsoft goodwill. If they just brought back a weird small remake of Nightmare Creatures, be like, all right, Sony's not giving you Bloodborne.
Exactly.
Is this good enough for you, for you freaks out there?
Though, and also on the person mentioned, was it Mega Man Powered Up, right?
Yeah.
There's also Mega Man Maverick Hunter X on PSP, which is a full remake of the original Mega Man X, and it has anime cutscenes. Which is crazy. They need to bring that to another platform. I think I can play it on Vita. I think those are the only two places I've been able to play it is PSP and Vita.
Okay. Joshua Heineman writes in, hey everybody, how are your current gaming systems holding up? I put a DVD in my PS5 the other day, and it was the first time I've heard it sound like a jet engine of my old PS4 days. And that Switch OLED is still so pretty. Thanks for everything. You all rock. Thank you. This is an interesting question. Just how are your consoles holding up, everybody?
Not good. Not good.
What's happening?
My PS5 has been just like powering off.
What?
Powering off. It started with God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, the DLC. And then I was like, it's probably just isolated to this game. And then like a month or two later, caught up, like it started doing it again. And then now recently, it did it with Elden Ring. I hopped back in there. It just shut off. And then I was streaming Fortnite. There were 3 players left. And then it just off. Yeah.
Is it like an overheating issue?
Yeah. And I opened it up. I got in there. I cleaned it out all the dust. Like I take such good care of my stuff, and it's just like bad luck. I don't know.
That sucks.
Yeah. My PS5, if I'd be booting it out of sleep mode, I'd jump into a game and it would just flicker. The screen would just flicker on and off. But then if I did a hard reset, then it'd be fine. So it was just frustrating for like so long. It was like, okay, well, I guess I just can't trust standby modes and to make sure I'm at a save point because I know when I need to boot Spider-Man 2 back up, I need to do a hard reset. It's just super frustrating.
This is why I'm a PC gamer, is because all the same stuff happens, but I'm fine with it for some reason.
That's right.
Yeah. My PC froze twice when I was booting it up to do this very stream. So that was fun.
Damn.
Yeah, but if it was a game, it'd work flawlessly. Trust us. So you need to convince Kyle that PC gaming is the way to go.
But am I the only one who has issues with my Xbox Series X where the controller will just stop connecting? It'll start blinking, and I think it is also a coming out of sleep mode thing, which is super annoying because then to get the Xbox to not, maybe there's a setting that I'm just not knowing, but I always choose shutdown, but that still just puts it into sleep mode. So then every time I turn it back on, I have to restart it anyway, which is the exact opposite point of having a quick resume in the first place.
Yeah. Ugh, that's frustrating. I would
Natron B is complaining too. Yeah, like I don't understand what is going on. It seems like it has done this since the beginning of when I got it, of just like it'll just there have been nights where I've just stopped playing because it's like, well, the controller just doesn't want to connect anymore, and I'll plug it directly into the Xbox and it will reconnect, but then as soon as you pull it back out, it disconnects again, and I don't want to have to go through the shutdown and restart and do all this. Let me tell you, back in my day, consoles were a lot easier.
That's insulting to ask somebody, Kyle. Of course his controllers are up to date.
I'm sorry, you're right.
He's a professional, please. How's everybody's Switch screens? Like I still have my launch Switch, but it's like that screen's getting a little scratchy. I feel like I'm pretty delicate putting it in that stand over and over again, but I can see the edges of the grooves at this point of where it's been sliding up and down in that thing for so long.
Yeah, I've swapped Switches at this point. Like I hit a point where it was like really like even beyond the drift and stuff, all the buttons were worn down, and it was just time. So I just sold it on eBay and bought a new one and transferred all my stuff.
All right.
Mine's pretty good.
Sold it as mint condition.
Mint condition, parentheses, when purchased.
Justin Lotman writes in and says, with Destiny 2's The Final Shape coming out next week. Hubert, did you know about this? Coming out next week, damn it.
I know, it's insane.
Crazy.
What?
It's serving as a wrap-up to the first 10 years of the storyline. I'm curious, have any of you dipped your toes in Destiny 1 or Destiny 2, and what are your thoughts on it? It honestly reminds me of the hospitality industry. When you get out, you can never imagine going back in. But when you get in and the going's good, you can't imagine anything else more fun. It's interesting. And the tips for playing Destiny are great, but...
I love Destiny. I'm always caught up on expansions.
Whoa.
Every time an expansion comes out, I play Destiny for a good 1 to 2 months, depending on the vibe and the feel of what's going on. And then I hibernate until the next one. So I always try to just kind of be caught up. So Final Shape, yeah, I'm excited.
I think that's the right strategy. So you can never be annoyed. Be like, where are the updates? Like, hey, I'm only in there when there are updates, and then I'm bowing out, so I'll never get frustrated. Yeah, I really loved Taken King. I was surprised how into that I got. And I don't even think I finished the Destiny 2 campaign. And it's all just like, my friends and I were really into Taken King. And I don't think any of us really clicked with Destiny 2 for some reason. But now I just feel like that was it. That was my window. I have great memories of Taken King, but that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah. Hang it up.
I once did a raid with Miller and Surreal one night.
Yeah.
And some other... I think one of Miller's friends, because he had an entire army of Destiny players, and it was a lot of fun. And then I don't know that I ever touched it again after that. I just don't have the the regular playing crew and the determination to stick with a lifestyle game like that.
It's a game to just dabble in. I've had several periods with it in my life where I was really into it, and those are really great. And the raids were really, really fun with friends. And I wish I could just go like, I want a raid ready character, and I don't care if I get loot or anything. I just want to be able to like just have that experience once in a while.
Right. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Just to have like a interface for breaking it. Like, all right, just let me jump to absolutely any activity and just give me a default character. That's fine.
Yes, character, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Limp Bizquick writes in, of course, they say, hey, everybody, now that we're coming up on our first summer with E3 officially dead, sorry, Leo, they say, how do y'all feel about where things are at now? Do you think Summer Game Fest is a suitable replacement for E3? Or there's still some needs and wants that you feel like haven't been met by the events and showcases that have sprung up in its wake? I feel like it was the first year where I feel pretty good about it. It's no longer that like, Summer Game Fest, I guess it's just kind of like, nope. Even, and a lot of it comes from like, this is dorky, but like podcast headlines, thumbnails. I feel like Summer Game Fest, it's basically the new catch-all. You know, I feel like it's almost the same vibes as E3 in terms of like generating excitement. If we say Summer Game Fest predictions, I know it's not the same, but effectively it feels like we're about there for the vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good, and I do like it, but I will always miss the comprehensiveness of E3. It has been fractured, and it will never be the same, and that's okay. You know, like I'm not like particularly sad about that necessarily, other than it just makes the job more complicated. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, I am okay with it. I think it's pretty good, but it will never quite be E3 just because everything was there in one place at one time.
Yeah.
I miss the sheer volume of people. The sea of humanity, just from all over the world. People were so hyped. I mean, that was always my favorite week. And like Summer Game Fest is a little more intimate, more smaller. Like I wonder if this year will be bigger, but like definitely nowhere near the energy and the electricity when you're there.
Yeah.
Compared to E3.
Have you ever been to a Gamescom?
Never been to Gamescom.
Might give you the people. If you're looking for just pure matter in a building, that's the place to be, man. But no, I'm with you. I'm curious to see how that Summer Game Fest, kind of the play days feel compared to E3. It just feels just kind of, how were you talking about it last year, Leo? Kind of just like a spaced out summer college experience of like just wandering around gently, but it's not going to be a horde of people rushing to a Nintendo stage and like that thrill, as gross as it is.
Yeah, a lot chiller by design, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks, I am 8-bit.
But to be fair, also like I already missed E3 when E3 was still a thing. Of like once Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony all started checking out, like it stopped being what it was back in its heyday. So we all kind of remember the heyday and not what it had become in those last couple of years.
Yeah. Good point. Ari Torben writes in, says, Summer Game Fest predictions. There will be a new Tony Hawk game following his entire career from the 70s until now.
And it's just called Tony Hawk.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Cool.
That would be cool. The hard reboot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to his podcast recently, actually, because Bob Odenkirk was guesting. That's all I got.
Nothing better than hearing him talk about doing cool things with his feet. It's really the best.
I'd actually like the beginning to not end, let's not say end, but like the whole career, because it was like he did on that podcast, he talked a little bit about like the pre-swimming pool era of skateboard competitions when people were basically just doing acrobatics on a skateboard. You know, like they would even like the joke that he was talking about with Bob Odenkirk, found it hilarious, understandably so, was that like there would be competitions where people would be skateboarding and then they would like get off and dance and like get back on the skateboard. And that was like considered skateboarding. And it's like
that's underground.
Yeah, if they could show that era of skateboarding, that'd be cool.
Whoa. And then they say, they got rapid fire here. NetherRealm is going to unveil their next fighting game. It's going to be an X-Men fighting game. Oh, can you imagine? Because we did that rapid fire interview with Ed Boon, and he said that they had talked to Marvel, and he was cagey about it. And I know the internet ran wild with what that meant, but that would be cool, just like X-Men focus game. And then we can get our nephews to play it. It'll be really cool and sweet. Danny DeVito will make some kind of cameo in an existing game franchise as DLC. Solid, specific bet. And then also
Danny DeVito in Fortnite.
As Frank from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Oh,
I was just gonna say as Danny DeVito.
As Danny DeVito. That'd actually be awesome. And then he has different, like his skins are like the Penguin and Frank.
Yeah,
you know?
I can see them doing that.
That would be cool. And no, the chat says, isn't NetherRealm owned by Warner Brothers? Yeah, but look, I mean, they made Lego Marvel superheroes. Like, it's not impossible for Disney to get out there. John Drake is making deals if it makes sense. And then Ari says, Sony will unveil a new first-person shooter to compete with Call of Duty.
Oh.
They have that Concord game from the former Destiny developers that's going to be a first-person shooter. I forget if that's going to be an extraction shooter or what, but that could be up there.
Maybe they bring back Killzone.
That'd be interesting. I mean, Herman Holst, #1 Killzone fan, he's in charge of the whole kit and caboodle now. Kenny Solario writes in and says, prediction, Pokemon Legends makes a surprise appearance. Wouldn't that be lovely? We should all be so lucky that Keeley opens the show with Pokemon Legends ZA. That'd be awesome. Let's see, Cody Allison, my Summer Game Fest prediction is a new IP from Subset Games, the team behind FTL and Into the Breach. It's been a long time since Subset Games released something, so that'd be a good get for sure.
Yeah.
Sam Kennedy says, this isn't an SGF prediction, but an SGF wish. Every time a leaked game gets shown, they should bring out Neil Druckmann to announce it, regardless of the studio. Yeah, Neil Druckmann is the master of the bummer. Hey, we're going to announce this game, but it was leaked, I guess, so whatever. What's the point?
Whatever.
It drives me nuts. Like, people aren't on Twitter all day.
It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Here's this, I guess.
One more SGF thing. Streets of Rogue 2, my most anticipated game. Matt Dabrowski, the pretty much solo dev in charge of that, teased that at the PC gaming show on June 9th, there's going to be some kind of Streets of Rogue thing. It might be a demo. It might be the early access release.
Ooh, okay.
But less of a prediction, more something that's happening that I'm very excited about.
Nice. And this is the one that no matter what you say Huber's going to get into, by hook or by crook?
Yeah, no matter what I have to do.
I'll do it.
Yep, there it is. Perfect.
I'll do it.
Julie Miner writes in and says that, we're going to get a full Ace Attorney investigation spin-off series on the Switch from Capcom. Switch-specific Ace Attorney game. It'd be interesting.
Like a fourth, because there's like 2 spin-offs already.
Yeah, but this would be like big, real Switch stuff, not some port, nothing like that.
Okay.
Beefcake writes in and says, let's play Are They Dead Yet? Below are a bunch of games that were announced or have seemingly disappeared, and you have to say dead or alive. And we're not talking about dead or alive.
You're coming with me.
Vampire the Masquerade. I love you and Isla. Nobody quotes movies and TV shows more than you two, just shouting it out randomly on the podcast. It's like you bake in trivia to the Easy Allies podcast because I'm like, what is that? What are they referencing? What the hell are they yelling about? Anyways, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
That's alive.
Okay.
Did that come out?
Well, they changed developers, right? And I think they have Everybody's Gone to the Rapture developers. Aren't they the new devs for that thing?
I was just laughing because you could throw some in here that are like, this game has been out for 2 years.
Everwild.
My answer for that one's undead.
Are vampires legally considered undead, like in the eyes of the law and God?
Yeah, in the eyes of the Lord, yeah.
Okay, good. Everwild from Rare. There were stories a while ago. Dead game, Huber?
Yeah, I don't even remember this thing. It's dead.
Whoa.
Rare is sketch, dude. Rare. Do they even make games anymore?
Whoa, coming hard for Rare. I mean, there were
on PS5. It was on the NPD.
No.
Everybody, edit your comment about me not liking Smash to be about Huber disrespecting Rare.
It's just a different Rare than the old Rare, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Everwild looks so cool. There was a report that the creative director left. It was kind of getting rebooted, yada yada. But I could see. I would bet cinematic trailer for Everwild, Huber, at this Xbox showcase.
Cinematic. When was this game announced?
Probably 2 years ago. Let's see. Everwild release.
Oh, really? I thought it was more than that.
You show up with a cinematic trailer like 3 or 4 years after a game's been announced. I don't know.
Yeah, look, that's fair. Oh, yes, 2019. It was an Everwild.
5 years and you bring a cinematic trailer. That's not good.
Not good, but not dead. Not bad. That's a sign of life. That's a bleep on the EKG. We can all agree.
That is a sign of life.
I do. Alive, but different. Like it'll be quite different than last time we saw it, but alive.
Yeah.
I'm reading that a Video Games Chronicles report on June 14, 2021 corroborated that Everwild underwent a complete reboot after departure of creative director Simon Woodroffe.
That's right.
Still saying dead.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Dead.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay to let it go.
Okay, is it considered dead if it never existed in the first place?
People saw it. There were demos.
No, fake demos.
State of Decay 3.
Alive.
Yeah.
That's a very active
I want it to
studio.
be.
Okay.
We might see that this year. I hope so.
I would love to. Perfect Dark. Seems like alive, but
Rumors are swirling, right?
yeah.
Alive, but in a coma.
Comatose.
Right. Yeah, she's on like the alien autopsy table. And Joanna needs our help in this moment. Help us, Joanna. Let's see. Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake.
Alive, but going through a lot of changes.
Okay.
Yeah, different developer at this point, I think, right?
I forget if they were rebooting it. It was like Ubisoft India, I think. Let's see. Pragmata. Remember this Capcom game?
Oh, the like weird space one, right?
Yeah, the one that looked like a Kojima game, but it's not a Kojima game.
They're definitely alive. The fact that they went through the trouble of announcing a delay with footage from the game, I think, says to me alive.
Yeah. Yep. I think you're right. They were very apologetic about that whole thing.
Right.
Computers Care writes in, and I guess, Leo, this is exactly what we're looking for.
I thought this was another game. I thought
it was
Computers
sorry.
Care.
No, you know, Leo, how we're always begging the community for write in with missed joke opportunities that aren't just puns.
Yeah.
I think this is what we want, so we should be happy. So Computers Care writes in, they say, missed joke opportunity on the podcast. When discussing Madden 2025, Ben should have said Senua's Saga Madden 25. It would have been funny if I said Senua's Saga Madden 25. I don't think there's any doubt about those combination of words being funny, so thank you, Computers Care.
Yeah.
Don't be confused, Kyle. Shane C. writes in and says, last week you asked if anyone remembers old class presentations that other people gave from school. Well, there's one I think about at least once a week. When I was in 8th or 9th grade, we were given an assignment to invent a fake product, create a brochure for it, and present it in front of the class. Well, come presentation day, wouldn't you know it, a friend of mine forgot to do the assignment and immediately got called on to present first. And this kid, who's one of the quietest, shyest kids I've ever met, calmly stood up, folded a blank piece of paper into a brochure, and gave a 5-minute presentation on Invisa stuff off the top of his head. He was the absolute last person I would have ever expected to try a stunt like that, and to this day, it stands as one of the funniest, most unexpected things I have ever witnessed. Even the teacher had to respect it, and the teacher gave him a C on his Invisa stuff presentation. Way to go, kid. Hero. We're still talking about you all these years later. I remember I was in art class in college, and we were like, the teacher was calling us to give our presentations. I think it was like on sound art was the name of the class, yada, yada, yada. And the teacher called on us and she's like, Brock? Okay, I guess Brock isn't here, whatever. And then the following week, she's like, okay, Brock, you were out last week. Do you want to get up and give your presentation now? And he goes, oh, no, I wasn't out last week. That was my presentation. It was an art piece on the concept of absence.
Oh my God.
and my favorite, it was a hippy dippy, very pretentious art group in class, but everybody in that class came down so hard and was like, Brock, shut the up. No way. And the teacher was not having it either. Everyone just kept slamming down on this fool.
C plus?
C plus. I mean, it was art. You can't really grade it.
C minus.
At least.
The real Joe Russell writes in and says, what time do you prefer to game? Morning, afternoon, evening? Absolutely insane. Sorry, I can't say that.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. is peak gaming time.
Yeah. It feels like the noise is the quietest. It feels like you can play a game and there be no controversy. It feels like you're just playing. It's like the whole world is asleep and there's no judgment.
It's your time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not counting as time in the day. It's not like, oh, I'm wasting my productive hours by doing this.
Yeah, you're like stealing time. Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
I do think underrated time to game. Obviously, I do it mostly in the evening, but morning, first thing, wake your brain up and doing something fun. It's a lot better than trying to wake your brain up, trying to do something you don't want to do.
Yep. No, it's so fun. Like, one of my favorite gaming sessions was coming back from Japan for the first time, being super jet lagged. And I kept waking up at 3 a.m., but it was after the Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes cover story that we did. And so I woke up at 3 a.m. and just would play a couple hours of Metal Gear Solid 1 and just like play through the whole game, like while jet lagged, like before the sun came up. It was so much fun.
That sounds amazing.
Nick from Atlanta writes in and says, hey, everybody, who do you think canonically has killed more people, Mario or Link? And when I say people here, I mean any sentient being in their own universe. Goombas and Moblins may not always be shown to be the brightest markers in the box, but they are clearly capable of independent thought. So who has murdered more sentient beings, Mario or Link?
I think Link. I think when you're Mario, you're trying to like, especially the older ones, you're trying to zip through those levels.
Yeah.
You're passing enemies by. You're jumping over them. You're flying over them. You're swimming around them. Whereas Link, it's just like, yo, I got my sword. You're in my way. Boom, boom.
Yeah, because I think I was kind of leaning Mario, but Mario's probably what, like 60% platforming and then like 40% fighting enemies, and Zelda's like 50-50 puzzles and enemies, right? Probably.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Eric
think.
in the back of the fast chat says, remember, Link is in Hyrule Warriors.
That's a great point.
Game over.
Nailed it.
Thousands of bodies.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I am trying to think of like the
and Age of Calamity as well. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I'm trying to think of like the instances of the biggest like kill count for any of these mainline games for Mario and Zelda. I'm trying to think there's got to be some ramp in Mario 3 where you take out like 15 Goombas, but it's got to be more than that, right? Like there's got to be some moment in some game where it's just like you hit a switch and a bunch of idiots fall to their death in Mario. There's got to be something like that. It was like huge body count.
The nuke switch.
In Dog City, yeah.
Right.
Kind of secret ending.
What's the code? Devin Rarden writes in and says, this question's for Kyle and anyone else who watches One Piece. Where are you at in your One Piece journey? And who's your favorite Straw Hat?
Robin. She's the best because she's smart. And I'm like, I'm at this place. I'm sorry, this is going to make me look like a fake fan, but they're on like this zombie island right now is where I'm at. He's like fighting a lot of zombies and stuff. A lot of brains being transplanted into dead bodies, and Luffy's inside a giant monster that's roaming around right now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So not good?
It's good. No, it's good. One Piece is great. There's actually, it was that season that made me want to start watching it because my wife was watching it, and they had like this really cliche like zombie sequence where zombies were coming out of the grave, you know, like in that typical way, like reaching out of the ground, and Luffy just like stared at one of them and put his foot on his face and just shoved it back into the ground, and that was like his like counter to like, I don't want to deal with zombies, I'm just gonna push you guys back into underground. And that really made me laugh, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check out this show. I'm gonna take it more seriously.
That's fun. To go back in time, Ray Lawaza points out, Link's Awakening, Link technically destroys an entire reality, which is true, which is pretty sweet.
Well,
so he kind of kills everybody in that
Link's
world.
Awakening. Yes. I thought you were saying Link to the Past. I was like, he travels between realities.
No, but Link's Awakening.
They are right in Link's Awakening,
Isn't it a dream, or is it's really another reality?
It's kind of an ambiguous thing. It's like a dream if everybody in your dream was like, for the love of God, don't wake up or we will really all die right now. So, you know, what is that for you?
Yeah.
Let's see. Jesse Rapak writes in and says, my question is about all these live service games lately leading to shutting down studios. Is there any good inside baseball reason why big publishers don't convert their big single player hits into live service games? I think it's an interesting question. They say, for example, Warner Brothers doubling down with when Hogwarts was their biggest game, why not divert more resources to Hogwarts and make that pop even more? It's an interesting idea. And there's a lot of just, I'm sure, technical reasons for like this game is built in this way. It's not conceived to have add-on content and a roadmap and the engine sucks, yada, yada, yada. But like, you know, I think a little bit of like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe approach. I think it's probably like the closest example where Nintendo years and years later was like, wait a minute, if we turn this into a live service game and just keep trickling out DLC, we can probably double down on this huge hit. And that's such a safer idea than standing up proudly and say, we're making a living game, Suicide Squad, everybody. And then people say, not so much. But imagine if they're like, Arkham Knight is a huge hit, and like, now we're just going to support this with DLC for 5 years. Please enjoy. You know, I think it's a safer route.
You're saying like Are you saying expansions, or because I feel like the person who wrote in is saying like, why don't they add a multiplayer mode to Hogwarts Legacy?
I don't know if they're exactly getting to that. I think just the idea of they say convert their big single player hits into live service. So adding multiplayer, I'd imagine is a beyond nightmare for something that's not conceived for it. But if you're just like trickling out updates forever, I think that's cool.
Yeah, but what is a live service, I guess? Because like your Arkham Knight example, like they did add DLC forever and people bought it, but I would never consider that a live service game.
Yeah. So there's no way a single player game can be seen as live service for you, even if they're trickling out updates and DLC for years.
I think they have to add some kind of recurring multiplayer mode that people want to play. And that at that point, you're just developing a whole new game. Like it's the reason Last of Us 2's multiplayer got canceled, is because like the pitch was like, yeah, you love Last of Us 2, we're going to add like a multiplayer mode. And then it was just so difficult to do, presumably, that they scrapped it.
Why do you have to
because
hurt
they were
me, Kyle?
making a second game, basically.
Kyle, I told you not to bring it up.
Yeah,
You're being a dick.
Why do you have to bring this up?
On his last show. Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ.
I think the problem with it is that the live service games, it's not about the content that they're putting in it. The content is just there to get you to buy the next season pass or microtransactions and whatever. And like, so thinking about like single player games of like, yeah, we're going to keep coming out with these DLCs that add new levels or whatever. If you're not introducing like a constant drip feed of stuff that people can buy on top of that, then it's not going to give the kind of returns that these corporations want from their live service games to begin with.
Yeah.
I also wonder the like target demographics, the market research, what that bears out about like, do people who are into a Hogwarts game, do they want a like multiplayer thing? Which live service games, like that's what the expectation I think is. What the successes we've seen are is like people coming back for the multiplayer experience. And like, do people who want to buy a Hogwarts game want to keep coming back to fight to be superior at it, or do they just want to escape into Hogwarts?
Yeah, for sure. Leo, have you seen that? The journey of Wayfinder, the game that you're hot on from last year's SGF?
That's my get a load of this week,
actually.
All
right, I'll save it. Joshua Navalis. Forget I said anything. Everybody act really surprised when Leo brings it up later. Joshua Navalis writes in and says, hey, MinnMax, I've recently been working my way through the Metal Gear series with the Master Collection. I just made it to Sons of Liberty, and my jaw dropped at how damn good this game still looks. The rain effects, the character models, the animations on Metal Gear Ray. It's no wonder we were blown away back then. But I still find myself impressed at how good this game looks 23 years later. Yeesh, that's a long time. All that to say, do you think there's any other game from the PS2 era that has graphically aged as well as Metal Gear Solid 2?
My go-to is Chaos Theory, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory.
Ooh, okay.
The lighting being so ahead of its time. I remember as playing it, I was like, this is photorealistic, sneaking around at night. And of course, it's not that anymore, but that helps it hold up, having like, something cool about the engine like that versus trying to go for the highest fidelity, whatever.
Yeah.
My initial reaction to this question was like, oh, Metal Gear Solid 3.
I don't think so.
Like, but like really like, and I said the same thing about like Dead Space remake recently, is like video game graphics are really good at rendering like metal.
Yeah.
So the fact that Metal Gear Solid, no pun intended, they both take place in like metal locations. Like one's like a tanker, one's the big facility they made. It's all made of metal, and I think it does just make it. Video games are just good at that, so it does still look really good. I can't think of much other than Metal Gear Solid 2 that still looks that good today. Yeah, in that era, that generation.
I'm sure there are driving games that still look good for that same reason, them being metal.
Gran Turismo maybe.
It's true.
Better than
yeah, or you could get art like abstract, like frequency and amplitude. The rhythm games I still think look awesome, where it's just kind of simple. Speaking of Vectrex, it kind of has that look for frequency in particular.
Yeah.
13. I remember The Getaway looking really good.
Okay. Yeah.
But I can't confirm now. I just remember.
Don't Google it.
No one Google it. Let's all just imagine that. Yeah, that looked awesome. This is kind of for a different reason, but I went back and played the Mark of Kree years ago. PS2 game.
Sick game.
And like, yeah, those environments, sure, they're not going to blow you away in the jungle there, Kyle. But like the animations in the Mark of Kree hold the hell up. Like it is some of the best animation work for that generation. Yeah, I'm glad you know that one, Huber.
Oh yeah.
Did anyone else play the sequel?
No one actually on Earth played that sequel. Was it PS3?
No, it was PS2.
Really?
It's interesting because I loved Mark of Kree. I thought that game was awesome, and I remember being excited for the sequel, and I reserved it and brought home the demo disc, and there was just something about it, like right out of the gate, that I was like, it's not the same. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to play this one. I don't know why.
Well, the first mistake is it was called Rise of the Kasai.
Yup.
Did they think that was going to be a name that was going to be on the tip of everybody's tongues? Like, dude, did you play Rise of the Kasai last night? I was up at 1 a.m.
After Mark of Kree, can't strike gold twice.
You know exactly what you're getting when that Kree leaves a mark. Hell. Ethan Poe writes in and says, with the recent collaboration with Slipknot to promote Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, I missed this, being announced, what do you think was the weirdest celebrity promo campaign for a game ever?
It was Battlefield. I think it was Battlefield with Zac Efron and Jamie Foxx.
Oh, that EA Disastrous thing? Yes.
Yeah.
Zac Efron and Jamie Foxx hanging out talking Battlefield.
Weird.
How much did they get paid? Did they get paid the same? And what was that dollar amount, Huber? You're in LA. You're in show business.
Jamie Foxx at least made 6 figures without question.
Okay. Do we think $250,000?
For Jamie Foxx, I think so.
Just to mumble about Battlefield.
And he probably had a rider where it's like, yo, I want like my trailer. I want all this other stuff. Like,
I want the next game to be called 5 and the next game after that to be called Battlefield 1. I want to make it confusing forever.
I Googled these keywords. And the first result is Jamie Foxx and Zac Efron high at E3 2016.
They were so high. They were so high out of their mind. Zac Efron just kept like giggling and looking at the camera and kept saying jazzed. Oh, how you guys feeling about this? Oh man, I'm jazzed.
Oh my God. I had forgotten about this. Yeah.
It was a classic. Yeah, Weed 3, a giant bomb. That's right, Crowboy. That's
right.
Yeah, the classic.
Hitman 1, the 2016 Hitman, they did a marketing thing for an elusive target that was pick which Gary you want to kill, of the actors Gary Cole and Gary Busey. And they had them in the studio doing little snippets of like, kill me, come on, kill me. And then Jesus. Gary Busey ended up winning, and they did a limited time elusive target where you kill Gary Busey, and they never reran it, and I never did it. And I'll never know what it's like. Unless.
Are both Garys still alive?
Yes.
Okay, good. As long as no Garys have passed since then. That's all we could ask. Oh, boy. Let's see. Oh, here's a transition. I apologize. Jeremy L. writes in, and they say, hey, MinnMax, I hope this isn't too much of a downer, but my wife's brother just passed away last week, and it's obviously been hard for the family and for me, and he was a good friend. I haven't had time to process it myself, as I've been in support mode for my wife and in-laws, but I know it'll hit me hard when their Shiva ends. So I was wondering if you all have any recommendations for media that's helped you cope with the passing of a loved one or a difficult time in your life.
I watch a lot of really depressing movies when I'm depressed, so I'm probably not gonna. I should recommend it because I tell people that, and they're like, they're like, what? Like, because people may usually gravitate towards like lighter stuff, and like when I'm sad and depressed, I like to watch something that is like so heavy.
Do you find that helpful though?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something cathartic about that, I think.
Huh. Yeah. I really like the movie Rachel Getting Married. I really like that movie.
And which end of the spectrum is that one on?
That is it's like a sad dramedy.
Okay.
But it's like, but it's like family, so I don't know if that'll make it like more depressing, because it is about like two sisters.
Anne Hathaway, right?
Anne Hathaway, I love that movie.
Yeah. Okay.
That's like my comfort sad movie.
Interesting.
Added to watch list.
It's like really intimately filmed. It just takes place over like the weekend at a wedding. It's like really good. But there's some tragic stuff in there. So again, trigger warnings. So yeah,
it can be really cathartic to watch something tough if it feels like real and you feel seen by it.
Yeah.
To be dark and personal for just a moment, my sister died by suicide in December, and a month or two ago I watched Anatomy of a Fall, which is about the courtroom drama following a mysterious death of, was it a suicide? Was he killed? Ooh. And it's one of those really heavy, powerful things where you are like, really affected by it in a way that I had trouble even putting into words. And then I read a really good Letterboxd review that like helped me really understand why it was hitting me so hard and how that movie is like the examination and the loss of a loved one, particularly to suicide, and the blame that gets passed around through that courtroom dynamic of like, who can we find to be at fault for this, including ourselves, you know? And yeah, really, really powerful to see things represented in a new way. There's something so magic about art's ability that way.
So it was the letterbox that kind of be like, oh, it just kind of unlocked the key for why it was hitting you so hard? Or were you thinking about that throughout the entire film anyway?
I mean, there was definitely connections for sure, but it was like reading the right words, which I'll plug the person, King Jonk on Letterboxd. Found completely like randomly, friend of a friend. But yeah, that's something I really like about Letterboxd too, is just like, explain to me why I love this movie in better words than I can even think of right now.
Right. Sly Cut writes it. Thank you for sharing that, Leo.
Yeah, thank you.
Sly Cut writes in and says, hey, everybody, the only transition out of that, game time. I've listed 4 franchises and 4 playable characters within those franchises. To win, you must match each playable character with the franchise they are playable in. Makes sense, right, Jeffem? Oh,
is Army of Two going to show up in here?
You wish. No, these are huge franchises, the biggest of the big. So it's impossible not to know these playable characters. The franchises are Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, and Sonic. Easy, says Kyle. Jeff,
in my mouth.
Which of those franchises? Which of those franchises can you play as someone named Fang?
Sonic.
Good job. Way to go, Jeffem. Correct. But Kyle, if you can name this game.
I didn't know you were ahead of stat. I totally missed that I thought it was there for everybody.
That's it. You're banned from this game.
To the question.
It's so rude.
I just wanted to shout Sonic. I'm hungry.
Hubert, do you know what the game Sonic Drift 2 on Game Gear is? Is that a racing game?
That sounds like a racing game. I love Sonic and I have a Game Gear, but I do not know.
I'm in the exact same camp. Yeah, it's like a Sonic kart racing game. Whoa. This looks weird. Can't believe I didn't play that.
I didn't know the Sonic
I'm glad I got that one right.
Went that far back. That's crazy.
Good job,
Jeffem, you are pretty much undefeated at this moment. Okay, all right, Jeffem, and only Jeffem. Which franchise between Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, or Sonic do you play as a character named Ella? Iconic Ella. When Ella comes on screen,
Mario.
Correct. And of course, it's in the game
Super Mario Party Smash.
That's right. And they said the only playable character in this game is Ella. Kart. What, are you nuts? You think Ella's in Kart? No, she's in Kart. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour is Ella's big debut. All right, Kyle.
That is a deep cut. Holy cow.
Kyle, playable character named Cafe.
Cafe? That's Zelda, right?
Yeah, do you know which game?
Does it start with a K?
Yes, and it's a game you very much should know right now.
Oh man, I'm gonna kick myself. I don't.
I would argue you're watching somebody play it right now.
Oh, Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. Wait. Kafei. That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Not playable? What's the argument? Like, do you put a mask on that's like from them?
Well, Cafe will give you a Keaton mask, and you can wear the Keaton mask.
Okay.
Unless there's something I'm forgetting, but you play as Link exclusively in Majora's Mask. You never play as anybody else.
Okay, so Sly Cut, you're cut off, dude. You've gone too far.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
And then Leo, of course, the character Espresso is playable in which game?
Yeah.
We all know it. Come on, everybody. Nomura, he says. Nomura.
Nomura.
Nomura. Donkey Kong Country, everybody. Hey, way to go, Sly Cut. All right, question of the week. What do y'all like?
I like when Jeffem was welcomed back.
That was Lord Sturgeon. They're not messing around with that type of question play. We have that. We have the systems holding up question. SGF, if it's the new E3 officially at this point, are these games officially dead? Who's killed more people? Classic.
Ooh, I like that one. That one really made me think. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. I'd do that again with other properties.
Yeah.
We can do
like Agent 47 has killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
But also maybe not, because you're only really supposed to kill one target.
Canonically certainly killed more than 47, yeah.
Jeffem, your call. Daddy-O.
War crimes committed by Zelda and Mario.
Wow, congratulations. Nick from Atlanta, you just won the Outer Wilds Vinyl soundtrack thanks to I Am 8-Bit. Thanks to I Am 8-Bit for shipping out that sweet prize. Now it's time for something that we love to call Get a Load of This.
Get a load of this.
Oh, whoa. There's music playing right now, Hubert. Come on, what are you doing? Love and respect.
He's too excited.
Because I'm usually never prepared for these, but I was like, I gotta get them.
Yeah. Hey, could you relay a message to Damiani over there at Easy Allies? Tell him he's God love him. He's always half a second delayed with that love and respect timing. And he's like, just tell him over weeks, just jump it ahead every week until he gets it right. I have faith that he can get it. He just needs to dial that in a little bit more. Anyways,
so close.
Hubert, take it away, man.
It's kind of a downer one. Furiosa has had the lowest Memorial Day box office in 30 years for a #1 movie for Memorial Day weekend.
That's
30 years. And that's a bummer because Mad Max and Furiosa are friggin' sick. But it just has made me think, even with XDefiant earlier, Leo, it just made me think about how much content there is. And the state of movie, like I started spiraling. Like, are movie theaters dead? Are there too many movies and shows and video games? Like, what is going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years? Like, are people just done with movies? We're going to the theater.
It is weird. Like, somebody was crunching the numbers. Like, I lose sleep at night thinking about the Fall Guy and that movie where it's like Ryan Gosling.
Critically acclaimed.
Yep.
Did you guys see that movie?
No.
I loved it. It was fantastic.
Okay, good.
I went and saw it in the
Part
theater.
of the problem, Hanson.
Yeah, I guess I'm part of the problem. I was curious about it, but it's like 2 stars from the 2 biggest movies of last year, right? With Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, and it's based on an IP like the old TV show, which is Hollywood Formula 101. Leo, come on, I don't need to explain the Fall Guy TV show to you.
I definitely didn't learn that as I was walking into the theater.
Skimming Wikipedia real quick, but it's like
it got on my radar.
Yeah, it just felt like everyone's like, we're good. I feel like a real test, and it's all gonna come down to Deadpool, like it always is, like all art does. Like if Deadpool and Wolverine slightly underperforms, Huber, I will chisel that gravestone for Hollywood myself, because it feels like Marvel's got 1 movie this year and they're trying everything they can. We'll see.
It's got to be a bill. It's got to be a bill, because the other Deadpools made about that. I think the first one made like over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Marvel movies typically do, but
Dune 2, huge hit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's true. That is true.
I mean, I do live in fear of the day that the Borderlands movie is considered a bigger hit than Furiosa. I'm so scared of that reality.
No.
I really don't want that even though Borderlands looks fun, I'm going to be so sad if that's like a bigger hit than Furiosa.
A Mad Moxie saga? I can't handle that when it's the subtitle on that whole thing. We have a Max spoilers for Furiosa, by the way, up on MinnMax's YouTube channel and the bonus podcast feed with
you guys
Jacob
couldn't
Geller
wait
and I.
like 48 hours.
I couldn't. I was too excited because you said I might see it this weekend. Of like, if we get to like Tuesday and Kyle hasn't seen it, I'm going to lose all the things I want to say. But it's so sweet.
I will say it was very nice to literally walk out of that movie and boot up your guys' conversation, because I was like, I want to hear someone talk about this. And Blank Check is wasting its time with one of my favorite anime characters of all time.
Yeah. No, the sweetest compliment I've ever received online is somebody said that they started playing the Max spoilers on their podcast app while the credits were rolling for Furiosa in the theaters. Like, that's so sweet. That's so nice. Hey, get a load of this. A while ago, I was complaining on Twitter, and I said, God, I wish that there was a tool or like a Twitter bot that just tweeted out every time a game that came out this year that's under the radar on Steam hit overwhelmingly positive reviews. And a lot of people were like, yeah, why doesn't that exist? Why doesn't it exist? What the hell's going on? And leave it to Isaiah Smith over here, one fiance of Janet Garcia. He is making one. Cool. Yeah, he tweeted out that he's working on exactly that. Just a bot that'll tweet out every overwhelmingly positive Steam review, apparently. And so you can follow him. He says he's learning a lot about it. He's going to get an open beta soon, I believe. Yeah, so follow him on Twitter, Isaiah Bidea. There's a link below if you want to follow Isaiah and look forward to the bot that'll surface all of our hidden gems for us, Huber, and then we're out of a job.
Well, I'll be out of jobs.
Don't you mean extinct?
That's awesome.
Get a load of this. There is a wine that you can buy that's like licensed with Nier Automata. So it's like Nier wine, which is like, all right, that's cool, whatever. But apparently the way it's wine, they make it normally, but then when it's aging in a barrel, they have a speaker attached to it that plays the Nier soundtrack. And that's like, I'm sure it changes the taste radically. But yeah, it's aged with the Nier soundtrack, which is like, I love how stupid.
Stupid, and I'm also so down to try it.
I'm kind of into it. You just need a reason to buy it. Like I'm on board.
Get a load of this. I feel like someone must have brought this up in the 2 months that I was on paternity leave. But this is a YouTube series called No CGI is Really Just Invisible CGI.
Right.
And it's a 4-part look from the movie Rabbit Hole. And the guy over there, I guess, is a VFX artist. And he walks through the entire history of producers or, production companies pretending that CGI does not exist in their movies, and how it's like a really big deal nowadays that they're like to the point where they are editing out like green screens in behind the scenes from like Barbie. They took out all the green screens and replaced them with fake scenes so that people think that it is all real. And he goes into the media side aspect of it, and how the media just kind of regurgitates these lines when people say that there's no CG, and how actors kind of don't really even understand that there isn't CG, because a lot of times they don't use green screens anymore. They just kind of comp it all out.
Right.
So to them, they think, oh, we're not using any effects. And then the media just reports that. And so it is a long and very in-depth look at the problem of how all these CG artists are working very hard on all these movies, all the Tom Cruise movies and, Mad Max and things like that, where people are like, oh, no, it's all practical effects. And it turns out they have just as much or more CG in them as every other movie.
Yeah, I think of like Crystal Skull. I remember that was part of the marketing beat. That interview really got around there of like, Spielberg says it's practical effects, and you see the movie like, what the hell are they talking about? Or like, I don't know how much George Miller talked about it, but it is funny with Fury Road. Everyone's like, it's the best because there's no CG in it. It's like, there's plenty of CG in Fury Road, everybody. Yeah. It's like, it's just, we like big steel things, and they made more than most movies did in 2015,
Yeah, he has like clips from the new Top Gun Maverick movie where they're like, we did it all. We flew all the planes. And then he just goes through and it's like, all these are CG planes. Like even the planes that they recorded, they were the wrong kind of planes, and they replaced them with the CG versions of the planes they were supposed to be. It's like, it's a real epidemic.
Yeah.
If you're not tired of epidemics yet, check
Who can be? Links below for all this fun stuff. Leo, I'm ready to be wowed by what you got to say, man.
You think you are?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
Get a load of this, Hanson.
Yeah.
Wayfinder is changing completely what it is.
What do you mean?
That game I talked about last year.
Yeah.
Which is like an MMO type deal, living game,
right.
Always online, grindy, paid customization, whatever. They put out an update pretty candidly saying, we have to shut the servers down because the game isn't doing well, but instead we're going to convert the whole game to be offline with optional online co-op.
Yeah.
And change every system in it to make it so you can still buy it and play it, rather than just removing it from storefronts and all this work that's gone into it being completely forgotten. and missing. And so I'm really curious to see how it works, because I don't think I've seen this move happen before, but like if it can be a more common backup plan for how many of these games come out to no fanfare and flop.
Yeah.
Like what a way to let them keep existing and be discovered later and appreciated for what is special about them.
Yeah, it's funny. They did an interview, Airship Syndicate over there, Joe and Ryan from that team on the Friends Per Second podcast, which is a very good podcast. You should check it out. And they were like, yeah, it basically works. So like, it's just, the thing is we made so much loot for this live service game, and now we just need to like squeeze it in and pack it all in to this like offline game, because we had like seasons planned and all this stuff, and the fact that they're just like dumping it all in there, like it is a loot piñata, because we needed someplace to put all of these assets that we made. So now in this offline co-op game, you're just going to be showered in a ton of stuff. So if you're into that, there you go. But I'm curious to see how that shakes out when it releases in June here.
Yeah, June 11th.
June 11th. There we go. Did you get one from the community there, JFM?
I did. Get a load of this. This one is from Waving World. And he says, clip just now from Pirate Software's stream today. Thor is such a force of good in the game space, and I'm hella curious what he's got coming up. And it's a clip of this developer named Jason Hall. And in the clip, he's just talking about how he wants to create this framework to help people make games. But I picked this one because I have my feed has been inundated with like short clips from his streams, because he live streams while he's coding games, basically. He cuts out these huge chunks and he streams, and he's a super interesting dude. He used to work for Blizzard as an offensive security specialist and eventually got bought out by the US government to help them secure like nuclear power plants and things. And he talks about kind of his history in the game development scene, and he talks about social engineering, because that's a big part of how all of his security concerns come in. So you should just check out his YouTube, even if you're not really interested in learning about programming or anything. But he is all of the clips that I've seen of him have been very positive. A lot of him like kind of helping indie developers and trying to give them tips on how to stay positive and things like that.
Right on.
Check them out.
Link below for other fun stuff. But hey, that is it for this episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thank you all for watching, listening, commenting, sharing, squatting, loving, living, everything under the sun. We appreciate it. We have a lot going on at MinnMax at the moment. Let's run down some of the things. First of all, Huber out in LA drove over to Janet's place and decided to play a little co-op Resident Evil Revelations 2.
A little.
Yeah. How long did you end up playing that game, Huber?
It was like over 10 hours.
It was a marathon. They played through the entire game. It's 11-hour stream. Yeah, so that's up on MinnMax's YouTube channel right now. If you want to see MinnMax West, Janet's living room, I don't really know where you work technically, but Isaiah making that Twitter bot, he's serving you Kool-Aid throughout the stream, apparently.
I know.
Sweetest man on earth.
Just putting him to work.
That's cool. Did you have a good time with that?
Oh, it was fantastic. So fun.
Oh, great. And you let her be all the cool characters? You let her be Barry and her be Claire and everything?
Of course. I've gone through that game a few times, so yeah.
Where do you rank Revelations 2 in the Resident Evil pantheon?
Middle high. It's a fun one.
Okay.
I really like it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see all those comments out there like, oh, my two favorite people. It's so weird to see them together in the same space. Oh, cozy vibes. And so, check that. It was
very cozy.
Yeah, check out that full playthrough on MinnMax's YouTube channel. Otherwise, we got so much stuff going on. We have Bonus Pod, the Patreon exclusive podcast. If you're a $5 supporter, you can unlock that in your favorite podcast app. You don't have to listen through it through Patreon or anything stupid like that. It's just right where you listen to this show. If you jump in at that $5 tier, you more than double the amount of podcasts that you get every single week from MinnMax. This week, Haley McLean was joined by Haley DeBoom for Bonus Pod, who, if you remember, she was on the MinnMax Show back in December. She's had the most amazing career she was working at ILM on Marvel movies, on Jurassic World movies, then went to Square Enix, worked on Final Fantasy 16 in the mocap space, stuff like that. Then she's moved on to Apple. She was at the That's No Moon studio I was referencing earlier, all that stuff. So she's on Bonus Pod this week talking about, animating Darth Vader. How many people get to talk about that on a podcast? She shares her wildest mocap stories. They talk about Overwatch, talk about Elden Ring, so you can unlock that bonus podcast, which most weeks is better than the main show, than the MinnMax show. So please help support Bonus Pod by unlocking that. I don't know. Okay, Leo. I mean, at a certain point it gets insulted. Yeah. But it's fun to hear the Haley's meetup there. Also, let's see. Quick thing. Community meetup. Community meetup is happening in LA. This is not the Town Showdown one where the community voted on Patreon for the big meetup in September. This is a quicker, smaller one happening while we're out there for Summer Game Fest. So Sunday, June 9th at 7 p.m. Pacific, we are going to be at Button Mash Arcade in LA. It's going to be Janet and Charles Hart and I and a bunch of other folks, because we're also going to be there with Glitch. Our friend Ava is running there, so it's going to be a bunch of indie developers there as well. So Button Mash Arcade in LA. If you're in town for Summer Game Fest or just in LA in general, come by, say hi. You can bring a friend. You don't need to be a Patreon supporter to come by and say hello. So Sunday, June 9th, 7 p.m. Pacific, Button Mash Arcade. We hope to see you there. We'll have a Patreon post up soon, kind of outlining all the details there. And for the big community meetup, the Town Showdown, we had people vote on where they wanted to have the big community meetup in September. And lo and behold, Asheville, North Carolina took it.
Respect.
Asheville.
Yeah, Akron, Ohio, second place. But it's wiped off the map officially. We are no longer acknowledging any of the losing towns as towns, but we will be sharing the date soon, probably later in September. We're going to lock down amongst everybody here the exact weekend we're going to be over there, but we'll have grand adventures in Asheville, North Carolina for the big community meetup, and we'll make a whole travelogue about it, so you can look forward to that. Also, speaking of travelogue, speaking of documentary, Leo, we'll get to yours in a second, but what if I told you that Doc Lightning is wrapping up? Throughout the month of May, we've encouraged the MinnMax community to create short documentaries. Just film them with their phones, under 3 minutes, quick and easy, and we're going to be holding that documentary film festival called Doc Lightning. Going to be happening likely in a stream on Monday, June 3rd. We'll stream our reactions to everybody's short documentary. I've already got a ton of people submitting theirs. I can't wait to watch them all. It was so sweet last year, and I'm looking forward to seeing all these things. So if you're scrambling out there trying to edit your documentary for Doc Lightning, you could get it to me by Sunday, June 2nd, and we're fair square. We're even Steven. So send it on over. Thanks to everybody who participated in Doc Lightning this year. And I'll send you all a code. Everybody who submits a documentary, I'll give you a game code. I'll give you a bunch of choices. So thank you so much, everybody, for making the community better by doing that type of big effort activity there.
Very excited for that.
And speaking of documentaries, Leo Vader, the floor is yours, dude.
Yes, I went and made a 5-hour documentary.
Yeah.
About my best friend Joe showing off his game Dome King Cabbage at Day of the Devs in March. I finally finished editing the public version, which will be 80 minutes, and the Backstage Pass version, which will be 5 hours, fully edited, fully watchable, like documentary about the experience with podcast style chats spaced throughout with good audio and everything. I'm really, really proud of them. It's the public version, I think, is like a good taste of the event and what it's like from behind the scenes, from the developer perspective on the show floor, which I've always been really interested in. And then the 5-hour version is a love letter to my best friend, is how I've been looking at it. And yeah, it's a very personal project, and I hope other people get something out of it because he's like the most important person in my life. Second most, honey. And so we just have like great banter. Nobody I'm more comfortable with. So I think it's really, I don't know. A lot of my heart is in it, and it's very funny. A lot of funny parts. So I hope people check it out.
I can't wait to watch it. It'll be up on Monday on MinnMax's YouTube channel. That's the goal.
Yes.
And then, yeah, you can join the Backstage Pass tier, the $10 tier. If you jump up to that $10 tier, even just for 1 month, you get the 5-hour extended version of that. I guess that's going to be the same month as the SGF travelogue, so you'll also unlock the extended version of that once we make that in June here. And then also, you'll get a Steam code if you jump up to that $10 tier for Undermine, or we have a bunch of other Steam codes to give out if you're interested in that type of thing.
And shouts out to our travelogues. I think they're some of the coolest stuff we do, especially the behind the scenes ones, the Backstage Pass ones that are just super long, there's no place for it in our modern content economy, but it's really valuable, and I'm glad we do it.
Yeah, I can't wait, because like it was kind of a last second thing of Leo being like, wait, I could show the entire experience of developers showing off their first big game at an event like Day of the Devs if I fly out and record a whole travelogue for Joe real quick for GDC. And it's like, yeah, we should totally do that.
Real quick,
just go out there and film this huge thing and release it as a 5-hour cut. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. I can't wait to see that. So thanks everybody for leaving nice comments ahead of time. I already know it's gonna be very warmly received. And all this is possible because of Patreon supporters. If you think any of the content we're doing here is like, you know what, that's kind of a cool thing. The goal of us doing all this content is having you say, you know what, I think that's kind of a cool thing. And it's such a cool thing. I'm going to go to a URL, which is patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Again, if you jump in and support us on Patreon, even that $2 tier, $2 tip, if you think we're on the right track, before the end of Friday, May 31st, we will send you a Steam code for Jackbox Party Pack 6. So thanks everybody for jumping in. We're happy to give a bunch of codes away. And that is it. A lot of things packed into this episode. Michael Huber, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Oh my God, it's been a blast. It's so fun to see. Great. Yeah, it's so fun to see the overlap of like the MinnMax and Easy Allies community, because like I've talked about it before, but when I first found the Easy Allies podcast, like people would leave comments back on the Game Informer show and be like, "This kind of feels like Easy Allies." And he'd be like, who are these guys? I don't know anything about this. And then I'd go and check them out and be like, oh, this is my sister podcast. These are my people. I fully understand the tone that they're coming from. And so it's so fun to see that overlap still exists. So it's been an honor and a privilege to have you for this 2-month window, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And Trivia Tower, again, I need to lock down plans exactly. It looks like there's going to be an episode in June, and so Huber's going to be hosting that one. He's going to be jumping in and out from now until the end of time. Until the sun explodes, Trivia Tower will be happening with Huber rotating through. So he's not technically going away.
Before the solar flares.
That's right. We got you covered. All right. That's it, everybody. And reminder, the podcast next week, we'll be talking about the PlayStation stuff that we didn't get to in this episode. And just to make more room for Summer Game Fest, I think we'll probably release the next episode of the podcast on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So early hot scoop for you, everybody. But yeah, look forward to our reaction streams from Summer Game Fest. This is going to be a fun time. Thanks so much, everybody. Until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.